This is a Headgum podcast.
Hey, buddy, it's the Burger Boy. That's Garçon de Hamburger in Canada's second official language, French. I say that because the Doughboys are coming to Toronto live. Sunday, September 29th, me and Mitch will be at the Danforth Music Hall reviewing Canada's signature chain, Tim Hortons, with our guests. How about this? Twisted Metal's Stephanie Beatriz and Toronto's own Alana Johnston. Doughboys live in Toronto. Wow. Doughboys live in Toronto. Weiger, Mitchell, Beatriz, Knife, Hortons. Get your tickets at birdfuck.com or birdpluck.com. September 29th, Danforth Music Hall. Be there. In 1946, amidst the American occupation and reconstruction that followed World War II, former missile engineers Masaru Ibuka and Akio Morita partnered to open the Tokyo Telecommunications Engineering Corporation. A small, struggling company for its first decade of existence, it was a partnership with an American firm that led to its breakout product, a handheld transistor radio marketed in Japan under the new brand name Sony. Over the next half-century, Sony would innovate in the consumer electronics industry in both Japan and globally, introducing and/or popularizing the pocket calculator, the color television, the Betamax VCR, and the iconic Sony Walkman. And then in 1988, Sony once again made a momentous business move in the U.S., this time acquiring American companies CBS Records Group and Columbia Pictures, migrating from electronics into music and movies before it was all just a smear called content. In 1995, the company merged electronics and entertainment with the introduction of the Sony PlayStation, which would realign the video game industry by finally dethroning sector kingpin Nintendo. In 1997, just as Sony scored a coup by publishing Square's Final Fantasy VII as a PlayStation exclusive, two graduates of Texas's Rice University, Tim and Carrie League, opened a single-screen movie theater in Austin. With little aspiration beyond screening films while serving food and drinks, the Picture House became a mecca for movie buffs, known for menu offerings themed to its exhibitions, and soon grew into an Austin-area fiefdom of cinema and cuisine. After successfully expanding across the Lone Star State, in 2009 the company opened its first outlet outside of Texas, and today has a presence in 24 regions across America. But in March 2021, weighed down by the COVID pandemic and mismanagement of its aggressive expansion plans, the burgeoning chain was forced to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. To paraphrase a film that might be exhibited alongside astronaut ice cream and a Tang cocktail, Austin, we have a problem. The solution came when Sony ventured into yet another new business. In June of 2024, Sony acquired the struggling company in its nearly 36 locations, entering into theatrical exhibition for the first time. To quote another Austin-related film that might screen along with Mini Meatballs and a Fat Bastard IPA, yeah, baby, yeah. And so, just as movie theaters have endured for over 100 years amid ever-shifting economic realities and crises big and small, so too will the nation's now 7th biggest theater chain endure under the stewardship of the former Tokyo Telecommunications Engineering Corporation. This week on Doughboys, Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. Welcome to Doughboys, the podcast about chain restaurants. I'm Nick Weiger, along with my co-host, a man who CC's pizza on every email, the Spoon Man Mike Mitchell.
Jeez.
Jeffrey sent that in, roasts at birdfuck.com. Yeah, Amelia and I were talking before
These
the
roasts
show.
are going to have to be like a page long at some point. It's just getting longer.
We had a discussion, and I might retire the roasts. It might be time to retire, to sunset the roasts. I just feel like we're getting a lot of like... Sure, yeah, we'll use that one, I guess.
So people
That's
are being
our best option this
our
week.
listeners are being so unfunny. You have to retire the roasts.
Look, a man who CC's pizza on every email is well crafted. It is a bit of a mouthful. It's a bit of a long road, but salute to Jeffrey for coming up with that. That's a unique angle. I just feel like a lot of the obvious ones have been taken at this point, so people are really straining to come up with something that's been unused.
You said you're gonna. What was your wording? You're gonna end the roasts?
Yeah, by like sunset the roasts.
Yeah,
maybe time to retire the roasts at the end of 2024.
We're going to Kismet Rotisserie Day. I got the same plan, my man. I'm gonna retire some roasts.
Yeah,
myself.
I get what you're saying.
Wags, before we started, you flipped out on me, made fun of me very bad. I was checking my mic.
Yeah.
And you mocked me.
Yeah. We're having fun. I was just being playful.
I'm going to Vegas tomorrow. I'm too stressed.
Yeah.
I'm going to Vegas.
And you were working this morning. You got a lot going on.
I did. I was at a table read this morning.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a lot of Doughboys bank account money on black or red. What do you say, Wags?
I would vote. I feel like you've already done that bit when we were at the casino in Foxwoods. And
we gave Emma $500.
Well, you gave Emma $500 of company money.
It was supposed to be $100.
Yes.
You gave me $500.
What fun is $100?
I'm just trying to think of like a world where I do a $500 bit without checking with you first. You would be mad about that for decades.
Wait, I think that means you have one like in the bank that you can use that.
Oh, I just have that at my leeway, at my
like,
disposal when I want to. Okay.
It's got to be a bit, and you have to waste the money. You can't buy yourself some sort of Minion plushie or whatever the fuck you're
Giving
gonna
your
do.
employees cash is wasting the money, though. Just so you know.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
yeah.
you can spend it on the Emma and Amelia if you like.
Okay, great. Well, that's an option. PlayStation 5, another option. Be a funny bit. Yeah, Studio could use one.
It was the show loved it. It worked in the show. It was worth the $500.
Yeah, it was worth a light chuckle. The cost of whatever 20 tickets that we sold at that show. No, it was fun. It was. I have nothing against.
Where was it? Was that at Foxwoods?
That was at Foxwoods. Yeah. Emma had never gambled before.
That was the first time I had ever gambled. Was with that chip.
Which, come on, how fun is that?
It was.
I mean, you lost, and we were very mad at you.
You've been getting,
that is
but
fun.
You're kind of Vegas pilled at this point. I feel like you and Mike are going all the time and having fun.
We have friends that are like super Vegas pilled. They got married there. They love it. They're there all the time. And then the first time we went for their wedding, it was my first time in Vegas. I won almost $4,000 playing Let It Ride. So I am addicted.
Damn.
Wow. Okay.
$4,000.
Pretty good.
Play Let It Ride. It's a good game. Table game. Not competitive.
The way to approach it that way with Vegas is like, I'm gonna just spend $100, and then if you win a lot of money, you're good to go.
Yeah.
I can't. I have a set amount of money that I will gamble while I'm there, and it's not a lot.
That's how we do it.
Yeah.
You set a budget. When you blow it, it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. And just think of it as spent money.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I was talking table games. I have a table game we're going to play later when we order Kismet Rotisserie called Finish My Portion.
I thought you were gonna be like playing with like it sounded sinister.
Oh, like I was doing a jigsaw sort of.
Yeah.
Play game,
playing with your food, basically. Yeah.
No, I don't play with my food anymore.
Yeah, I would hope not.
I left that behind.
Yeah.
It's kid stuff. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, you're 43.
Yeah.
Are you 43?
I turned 43. Yeah. I'm 43. That was my last birthday.
Ooh. Sounds like in August we're about to have a double 4.
I am. I'm gonna be 4-4. The big 4-4. Big milestone.
Well.
That'll be my last double number birthday.
So long, 55.
Yeah.
Emma, let's hit him with a drop.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
What will you do on the last day of school?
You know what I do.
It began on a quiet summer
Oh my
afternoon
God.
when a teenage prank got out of hand.
Cool. We'll do hot salad.
Under the cover of darkness, he carried out the most horrifying mass murder on record.
You can hear all my organs.
Ever since that night, no one has forgotten his name.
I'm the murder boy, Nick Weiger.
Now, it's coming.
I start jacking off. All right, the drops are still good. Drops at Bird Fuck.
They're pretty good
Yeah.
still. Hey, Spoon Man. I've been listening to the show since late 2015, and I'm 80% sure this is the first time I've submitted a drop.
Wow.
80%. Love the show. Kevin. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
P.S. If you never tour again and never visit St. Louis.
I think it's St. Louis, but you can say St. Louis.
St. Louis to review Emo's Pizza, then I urge you to at least try the local dessert gooey butter cake, which is as decadent as it sounds. Here's a link to a pretty easy recipe I use when making it myself.
I have had gooey butter cake, and I've also had the gooey butter cake ice cream flavor that I can't remember which of these artisan parlors had. I think it might have been a Jenny's, yeah. And I do like a gooey, but I have not had like an official, like a St. Louis version. So that would be interesting.
I got a joke for you.
Yeah, please.
What's Forrest Gump's favorite ice cream shop?
What is it?
Jenny's. It's pretty good.
It was good, yeah. By the way, we should point out that Emma, our MVP, might have recovered a lost episode seconds before we began recording.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. We'll see if it happens. But we have something that we recorded in the bank that the hard drive got corrupted. She may have done a successful recovery. So hopefully this all works out.
It was funny that you've worked so hard on this and you've done a great job, but it was funny when you were like I think we lost video for this episode, and my first reaction was like, who cares? That was look.
Yeah.
If there were no doubles in the recent past with waveform instead of video, then we did it.
Wow. I think if we lost audio, which we have before, we've only lost like one or two episodes, right?
We lost one episode, and it was when we had a guest engineer.
And we only lost half of that episode, if I remember correctly.
We did. We lost the first half.
The food review remained, but it was like the first half got corrupted.
Yeah.
And then man.
I was with Jordan Morris, good friend of the show.
I hate when they get corrupted. I know it was probably a very funny first half. I'm sure.
It was, yeah.
And then we haven't released one episode.
We deleted one.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, one's been deleted.
Is it deleted?
From everywhere anyone else can access it. I have it.
I like that. I like that it's still alive
somewhere. Hard drive in my closet.
I like that.
Emma said that with
the Museum of Podcasting.
Yeah.
The lost episode.
Emma said that with a layer of like, I call this leverage.
The Museum of Podcasting would there's gotta be some sort of podcasting like academy at some point, right? I'm sure.
What, like a school?
I'm sure there already is.
So something that you probably already exist, and you probably already take online podcasting classes.
But I'm saying there's going to be. I'm saying there's going to be like like the Motion Picture Academy or whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
it's
like
called.
the Academy Museum.
Yeah, the Academy Museum,
or like the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Does podcasting get one?
I think probably it's at a certain point they will decide like that's just a way to. Some town will say like, hey, this is a way we can get tourists to come here.
Are we going to get in or what? What the fuck's the deal?
It might be Austin. Who knows? That feels like a kind of move that Austin
will
would
be
make.
Austin.
Yeah.
The Rogan verse is over there.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one possibility. That's obviously its own ecosystem, but I think there could also be, just some random town like what's Canton, Ohio is where the Football Hall of Fame is, the NFL Hall of Fame, right? So sometimes that just happens.
I think bringing up Austin is a great segue to bringing in our guest in the theater that we're talking about.
Wow, Mitch, this was unintentional, but you're right. This kind of worked out. From Formerly Dangerous in the Last 80s newsletter, our friend Drew McWeeny is here. Hi, Drew. Good to have you, buddy.
Hey, thank you, man. Very good to be here.
Thanks so much for making time. This is overdue, and I will say, in our defense, we were talking about this while we were waiting for Mitch to arrive at the movie, and the Alamo Drafthouse.
Hold on a second now. I was on time for that movie.
You did make the showtime of the movie. That is correct.
I made it into the showtime.
Yeah.
We were walking in and the first trailer was playing.
Yes, yeah. So we were on time for the movie. But 2019 is when the Alamo in LA, the one LA location in downtown LA, opened.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously movie theaters got very weird for a few years. And so it became a thing that was kind of off the table for us, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it was right as it finally opened. And I am an old school Alamo fan.
Right.
I started going the year they opened in Austin.
Wow. So what is this, 97?
97.
Like that? Yeah.
And went to events down there, went to like the early Tarantino festivals where he would come in and program for 3 weeks and just bring his own prints.
That's so cool.
And I loved that scene, and I'd really never seen a revival scene like it. I liked the LA revival scene, New Bev and stuff like that.
Sure.
They were certainly great, but it was just a very different, rowdy sort of community that popped up around the Alamo very quickly. And that first location was just kind of magic.
Yeah, we did not go to the first location when we went to the Alamo in Austin.
No.
That was when we were on tour, maybe 2017. It sounds like, and that's my only Alamo experience outside of LA.
That was my second visit.
Okay,
because my first visit was me and John Ennis seeing The Force Awakens.
Oh right,
At Alamo Drafthouse. That was my first experience with it.
And that was also in Austin.
I think it was Austin
because you were were working on you were shooting something remotely.
I'm not sure if it was the original theater, but
no, it was closed by that point.
Yeah.
And the original was downtown.
It was downtown.
And it was just it was a single screen. And it really would not pass fire code by today's standards. Like the sound on the side was muffled by hay bales in the walls. It was a very sort of built by hand theater that Tim and Carrie League put together. And they had their first couple of menus where they experimented and just tried the idea out. Like, how do you even program food for theaters?
Right.
And it was just interesting to see that place evolve. And when it caught fire, it seemed like an idea that was going to go everywhere very quickly.
Yeah, and I feel like we saw a lot of imitators, and some of them are still around. But certainly even AMC has their AMC Dine-In, which I think is that's been less of a focus for them. But I feel it comes from the Alamo.
It's that sort of world where I support AMC because we've talked about this before. Why it's like when you're like, oh, I'm rooting for local chains because that's what the world is. But I do go to AMC. But when it comes to the dinner theater at AMC, I'm like, I don't want to go to an AMC for that.
No, it's not the same there. It's it's a very different experience, and it feels a lot more chainy. And I know that I say that in a. Understanding the Alamo Drafthouse is also a chain, but it still has the kind of feel of this feels like a unique sort of spot,
Were you living in Austin at that? Did you ever
No,
live there?
I was just working on a website that was based in Austin.
Yes.
And so that's why I started going there was just because they were covering local events and I started to go in for them.
And then you guys would have festivals there.
We did. We had the Button-Up-a-thon, which was every December and was a charity event where we program movies for 24 straight hours.
Yeah.
And
I would read the rundown of the Button-Up-a-thon when I was younger to see what movies played, and there would sometimes be movies that weren't released yet. And
we did a lot of early screenings, a lot of older screenings. I got to play something of mine at one of them. It was awesome. And that festival truly was. You would have people like Guillermo del Toro came to several of them. In fact, the first time I met him was watching Phantom of the Paradise.
Wow.
He brought his print. He sat next to me and leaned over and said, if you can sing along to this movie with me, we're going to be best friends. And I was like, what a great way to meet somebody.
Could you sing along to it?
Yes, I love Phantom of the Paradise.
Wow.
So it was kind of a magical place. And to see them try and expand and reproduce it, it was even within Austin, it was a question, can you do other locations for the Alamo and still have it be the Alamo?
Yes, we were talking about this. We were talking about, and we'll get into this more, but we were talking about the success of that theater and how it was doing a month back, and it has just recently been sold.
Yes, as of this recording, it was just bought by Sony for an undisclosed amount.
When we decided to do this, it was still kind of a question mark.
Exactly, right.
Yeah. So that news is interesting. We'll see what happens.
It's very much breaking news as of this record. This episode will come out later.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to tip my hat a little bit, but
for our audio listeners, Mitch physically tipped his hat.
Tip my
and if we lose this video episode, that's the kind of thing we won't have. So,
which, by the way, is always I always say this. It's the wrong saying. What is it? It's show
tip
my hand.
Cap,
show my hand.
Yeah.
Wait,
what are you doing? I guess
I'm about to say some thought. I really do like those theaters a lot, despite seeing Force Awakens there for my first movie.
Yep. The trauma. You overcame the trauma.
I overcame the trauma of seeing Force Awakens there. Also, I saw...
What did Ennis think?
Ennis was so funny to see that movie with, because Alamo has a strict, no talking, don't text, which I love, by the way. But a trailer during The Force Awakens, I think it was Terminator... I don't know if it was Genesis or whatever it was. There was a trailer for maybe the last Terminator.
I think it was Genesis. Yeah.
I think it was Genesis. And the trailer ends, and then John Ennis goes, ha! So loud. And I was like, oh my God. This is so fucking embarrassing. I was like, I could like so loud.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, it was funny that he laughed at it. It was like a dead, quiet theater. No one responded to the trailer at all. It was really funny. And then afterwards, he was like, we both were like, we didn't really like it. It was like the end result of it. But I liked going to. It was a cool place to see a movie like a huge movie like that too. And that was the first time I went, and I loved it. And when we were getting one here in LA, I was really excited about it. But Drew, before we get into all of that, you're a movie man. You know more about movies than anyone I know. You're a walking encyclopedia.
Well, thank you.
And he's a walking dictionary. Fucking much more boring. But what do you usually snack on when you're at a theater? What's your go-to snack outside of Alamo?
Right.
Say we'll exclude Alamo from this.
If I snack at a movie theater, I like popcorn. I'm a very traditional popcorn guy. My first real job I was caddy when I was like 14, 15. Mm-hmm. And then the day I turned 16, I started working in movie theaters.
Wow.
Because I wanted that access, and it very quickly learned to be a projectionist. This was in the 80s, and I was a projectionist. I managed theaters. When I moved out here, I ran theaters in Sherman Oaks. I did trade screenings and test screenings.
Wow.
And had to meet everybody that way. So theaters are something that I love and think about, and how do you make them great for audiences and things. And, the snacks, the traditional snacks, I think, are traditional for a reason. I kind of live popcorn with candy shaken into it.
Yeah.
What kind of candy?
M&Ms or Reese's Pieces.
Sure.
I mean, those are the best ones because they're little and they get all the way through. And that's always been my sort of main theater snack.
I feel like that's such a norm now that they are I feel like there's candies that are marketed that way to just put in your popcorn.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I keep them like the Offspring.
Sure.
I keep them separated. But I do like the salty and sweet. Sure. I like going back and forth, but mostly popcorn for me. Popcorn and butter. And a large Coke. Wags, how can you beat a large Coke at the theaters?
Yeah, I do love a big soda. I always say I'm gonna get a big soda every time I go to the movies, and I will I'll very oftentimes off for
You'll do a diet.
Yeah,
a zero.
exactly. I'll do the zero because that's a lot of. I mean, we're talking 600 calories.
That's my choice. Yeah, I like the zeros, but especially these days.
If you're seeing if you're going to see you're a Mad Max movie.
I'll treat myself with a Coke, like a cherry Coke heavy sometimes, but it just depends on the situation.
We both felt the same way, where I feel like we've gone back and forth on the freestyle machines, but they kind of bum me out in theaters now. I like I like the spigot.
Have you tried have you seen the new freestyle machine?
No,
because I think the New Art has which is a single screen movie house in LA, shows a lot of indie movies, but they have one of the new freestyles. And that one it's just a little better. It's like a little.
Give it to me straight. Does it suck you off or what? Give it to me, Wags.
Excuse me, I think the freestyle machine's broken.
It's not sucking me off. Who do you want to be sucked off by? Cool Spot or... I couldn't think of another soda mascot.
There aren't a lot. I guess the
7-Up guy.
Yeah, 7-Up guy, yeah.
Polar bear?
The polar bear.
There you go. That's pretty good.
Santa Claus.
So, you know what?
I'm going Santa Claus.
Santa. That's the move.
Ooh, my dick smells minty. If Santa sucks you off.
You think Santa has minty breath?
He has candy canes.
Oh, I guess so. But he sometimes has cookie breath too, I feel.
All right, so maybe your dick smells like a cookie. Look,
that's fine. These are both good things.
They're both very good.
Look, when you're getting sucked off by a soda mascot from a freestyle machine, your dick's going to smell like something. It's probably going to smell good.
Just a given.
It was embarrassing for me. They're like, I think you have to use the junior machine. Freestyle Junior. Snug Fit Freestyle Machine.
They have a machine.
All right, we got a little lost there. I still like straight from the spigot, and
I get that.
Yeah, the classic fountain.
I mean, the
with
old
dedicated
Coke
fountain.
boxes where they had the
Yes.
like bags of syrup and
Yeah.
the straight out of the fountain. That's still genuinely the theater soda that you kind of think of.
That's
That's what you want.
That's the ideal version.
Yeah. And I feel like we've talked about this, Wise, but a cherry Coke's going to hit so much better when it's coming straight out of that spigot instead of out of the freestyle machine.
Dedicated cherry Coke spigot is great. I
Yeah.
love that. There used to be a Rubio's that had a dedicated vanilla Coke spigot, which I was like, you never see that at a fountain.
Yeah,
And that's like that was a you know.
Do you know who had a cherry
discovery.
Coke spigot? A spigot?
Who?
Spigot?
Spigot?
Spigot was we gotta stop saying spigot. Spigot.
Spigot.
Spigot.
Spigot.
The place that had a cherry Coke spigot was the ArcLight.
Sure,
Which is
yeah.
supposed to reopen, and I loved the ArcLight. I loved that theater quite a bit. Not saying anything about who ran it, I don't know. There was always rumors that it was run by Scientologists. I don't know
I think
if that's
the
true.
plaza was owned by them, definitely.
The plaza was owned by
Yeah.
them. Okay.
That's what I think.
I loved that place. That to me was like, you're going to go see a movie opening weekend and you're going to see celebrities there occasionally. And sometimes the celebrity's going to come in and introduce it. That happened to me with Iron Man.
That's fun.
John Favreau and Robert Downey Jr. came in and they introduced the movie, and it was fun.
Man, the Dome was my favorite theater for a
Dome is so
lot of
cool.
years.
Yeah,
When I first moved to LA in 1990, that was one of the first theaters I had to go to. That and the Chinese were like must stops.
Yeah.
And I love the Dome. I saw so many things. I love when they would do the 70 millimeter festivals and you get like Apocalypse Now and Lawrence of Arabia and those movies. Unreal place to see those things.
One of the first movies I saw at Grauman's Chinese Theater?
What's that?
On my birthday, you know this, The Departed.
Oh, that's right. I do know this.
On my birthday, one of the first year I was out here, basically.
And you're right. Like the ArcLight would be a lot of like the weekend the doors opened. We went to the first Friday night screening, and that entire theater was filled with people who had been extras in it and celebrities who wanted to see it. So, like, we're sitting behind the Red Hot Chili Peppers and in front of a row of people that were at one of the whiskey scenes, and it was was very interactive. Like, it was a really crazy way to see that.
Wait,
film.
what movie was it? I'm sorry.
The Doors.
Oh, The Door. Oh, wow. Oh, that's
so it was
crazy.
like opening weekend of that, and half of LA had been in that movie in some form. So
that's so cool. Yeah. Do you remember? Do you remember the movies when you first started working at a theater? Because did you remember what was playing when you were there?
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Summer of '86. So it was The Fly.
Wow.
It was Aliens. It was Big Trouble in Little China. It was Club Paradise that summer. Like that summer was a really fun summer to be in a movie
insane.
theater. Yeah. It was great. And we did, employee screenings for all those. So saw Aliens 3 nights before it opened and spent 3 days telling people, oh my God, you don't know. Oh my God.
I mean, it's possibly in my top 10 favorite movies. I love that movie so much. It's funny to think of the ones that opened when I was there by comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Osmosis Jones.
Sure.
The Planet of the Apes remake by Tim Burton.
Tim Burton one?
The Tim Burton one.
With Abe Lincoln at the end.
Honestly, this is one of the better ones. American Pie 2.
There you go.
But I mean, like, comparatively, what the fuck went wrong? I mean, in 15 years or so, we're still going through it now. I wonder how you feel about the state of movies. I think we talk about it all the time. We talk about how the industry is dying and movies are dying in a way.
Bad industry, but I feel like we've had some good movie years recently, and there's still a lot of stuff that I enjoy.
You're
seeing.
very positive about it.
I'm not just. I'm not trying to put a positive face on it. Like I'm seeing stuff that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So
I think you have to work harder to find it.
Sure, for sure.
There used to be a monoculture, like things would get released and everything was sort of in the mix for everybody. Like, and it felt like people went and saw art house stuff. People went and saw mainstream stuff. People were, especially in the 90s when I moved out here and was first managing in theaters.
Yeah.
Everybody was fairly adventurous. Like it felt like people would go see everything and try things. And it just felt like theater going was a cultural thing.
Sure. Yeah.
You would just go to the movies.
Right.
And I think now people go to a movie. Like, if they feel like they're going to be left out of the conversation about Avengers Endgame, they have to go see Avengers Endgame or everyone will talk about it.
Yeah.
But they don't just go on a Friday night and go, I don't know what's playing, 2 for Eddie Murphy. Which is what it was like very much when I was.
Well, yeah, when I was younger, it would be like, let's go to the movies, and
Right,
then
we'll
you
figure
kinda
it out.
figure it out when you got there.
But I mean, this is also like we're sounding like dinosaurs to a lot of our younger listeners because like I remember looking in a newspaper for showtimes.
Of
You know,
course.
a lot of stuff didn't used to be online, so it's like I just have a lot more options now and a lot more information.
And that's where I think it becomes more about like really having to go look for things.
Yes,
you
right.
have to find the stuff that you're interested in. It's out there. I think there's plenty of great stuff being made,
for sure.
but it's so much harder to have the same experience as somebody else.
Yeah.
Because everybody's soaking in their own, like what you're watching on streaming, and they're watching at their own pace. And some people binge and some people do week to week. It's crazy. Nobody's having the same conversation.
It's stupid of me to always make fun of Amazon and Netflix and Peacock, which I'm in a show that's on Peacock.
Yes. You
But
work for all
fuck
these
all
networks.
those places. Honestly, I mean, in the nicest way possible. I love TV shows.
Yeah, in the nicest way possible. Go fuck yourself.
I love TV shows that are on these, but like to me, it's that sort of thing of like release movies in theaters and then put them on your streaming service afterwards.
There's
such
a
benefit for
huge
releasing
value.
things. Yeah, go on.
There's a huge value to that, not only financially, and every studio will tell you a movie that plays in the theater and then goes through streaming releases always does better.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't do well in the theater, it just does better by virtue of the fact that it was a theatrical movie.
Yeah.
And I think, we were talking the other day about I Saw the TV Glow.
Oh, yeah. Love that
which
movie.
people are talking about, and I think really kind of became a conversation and would not have happened if it was just on a streaming network that you could easily not have.
If it was just dumped on Hulu, I don't think it has any of the conversation behind it versus having a theatrical release.
I saw
is
that
what
on
made it
streaming.
out,
I also wouldn't even like it as much as I did when I saw it in the theater. I would just kind of be like, whatever. It does take something away. Something is lost in translation, I think.
But to your point about the absence of a monoculture, there is, though, something of monoculture. It's just concentrated at the very top now.
Yeah.
It's like there are,
Yes.
it's like you mentioned Avengers Endgame, and that's a great example. That's the kind of thing like a lot of people are like, well, that's the one movie I'll see this year. Top Gun Maverick was the same thing. Well, that's the one thing they'll get me in the theater. Avatar, The Way of Water, I feel like maybe was that to a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with celebrity. There's a few extremely famous people and then a lot of other people who are like, at various building levels. Yeah.
And need a podcast to survive,
Right.
basically. I mean, I was just saying this. I was talking to actors today that were like, that do podcasts, and it's like, that's how they supplement their income is with podcasts. But what do you think is the issue there? Is it the fact that all these studios are making these multi-million-dollar movies every year? They're it's like too much at the top and then we're not making as much.
It's just a cycle. And I think right now this is the same cycle that played out at the end of the 60s where the studios didn't know how to make anything except giant bloated movies with movie stars. And then Easy Rider happened and everything breaks.
Yeah.
We're going to break. Like the industry is breaking. And I think what will happen is a lot of invention and a lot of people will take advantage of the breaks and figure out ways to get things distributed. I think we're coming towards that. I definitely feel like that happens every so often. The 80s led to the 90s, and the 90s were very much an independent explosion of, I can't do the 80s again.
Yeah.
I need something else. And I think Marvel has raised a generation that is now getting to be like 19, 20, 21 years old, and they're all going, cool, I'm done. Can I have something actual now? Can I see something? I think there's a real hunger. Just talking to my kids, I feel like they grew up watching all this IP stuff, and they're done. Yeah. They don't want it anymore. They really are. They feel like we had that for our whole lives.
Right.
And I kind of blame our generation more so for those movies, because of course kids are going to like those movies, but then we liked them a little too. I think the adults that couldn't grow up a little bit liked them too much.
There was some adult baby issues.
I'll be honest. I think part of it was we waited so long for the tech to catch up to make comic book movies look good that when it happened, everybody went insane for a little while. They look great, and then they all made the same movie 800 times.
Right.
It just is. It's just crazy thinking of just mid-budget movies, smaller movies, and
that's all that stuff.
Me too. I miss it so much. And then it is that sort of thing of don't get me wrong, I like A24, but then it does feel like it's such a such a thing of this is an A24 movie.
Sure,
this is an
right.
independent movie or whatever. And like to get in this club, you got to be really cool. And I'm like, I don't even need that. I just need independent movies that are lower budget or mid budget that get released in theaters. And there's not, besides A24, what is there that does that? It's like there's almost nothing, right?
No, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of filmmakers who trained on YouTube and who trained in sort of that kind of technology. I think we're going to start seeing those guys break soon. I feel like it's a cycle. I feel like everybody's fatigued. Everybody is tired of what we've had for the last.
I was really mad
years.
about it for a few years. You probably noticed on the podcast that I was pretty pissed off about it. We talked about what's this Force? No, Last Jedi.
I think that was the first time I ever
Oh yeah,
sat
that
down
was
with
a
you
whole
guys.
thing,
Was
yeah.
talking about The Last Jedi.
And you're a hard person to debate with. You can speak a sentence. You're very knowledgeable. You know movies. But I wish I could go back and debate that again. I still, I mean, Star Wars is also.
I wish I could go back and convince you that it sucks.
I'm gonna win next time. Yeah,
That's my like Christmas Carol is like me realizing that I should have said things sucked more in the past.
there's still time.
Yeah.
I think that, but I do think with a lot of this, like, I think we overdid it with Star Wars. I think we overdid it with everything.
Yeah.
How can you say that when you're in front of an Unkar Plutt action figure? You think we overdid it with Star Wars, Mitch?
You're right, Wise.
Mitch, I think what you're trying to say is the amount of Star Wars we got, maybe Disney should reduce that to 1/4 portion.
They want to make Doughboys action figures.
Lob that one over the head.
It's like Mike Feist in Challengers. Bam!
They want to make Doughboys. We're talking to someone about Doughboys action figures.
Yeah.
And they sent us mock-ups, and it was our clothing, but they were just two Unkar
They were just
Plutt
on
dolls.
Unkar Plutts. Yeah, they clearly reused the bodies. It's like, okay, you guys over-ordered the bodies.
Did either of you use movie phone? Because I used to call it movie phone.
It was.
quite a lot.
I wonder if the number's still active. It was like 777 film, right? Or that was one of them.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you would call, like, this is one of those things to explaining this to our Zoomer listeners. They'll be like baffled, but like, yeah, you would call a number on your landline phone, and then a recorded voice would be like,
They're not that dumb, by the way.
I don't think they're dumb. I just think they're like if you grew up with the internet, the idea of doing this would feel like a complete novelty.
Like,
It's
why?
Yeah, why would you do that?
Yeah.
But you couldn't like just just log onto a website or an app and see what the movies that were playing. You had to call a line, and then a recorded voice would say all the movies that were playing in your zip code.
We call 1-800-OK Soda for jokes. We called 800 numbers for jokes.
Yeah.
You don't get it, you zillennials. You don't get how it was. It was hard, Nick. You're right.
It was hard.
And that is I think that's how I, besides the newspaper, that's how I would look up movies quite a bit.
I gotta tell you guys, my first job was at a movie theater.
Wow.
And I was a recorded voice for the theater.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you'd have to do those.
Do you remember the movies that were playing around then?
I mean, it was anything between like 2004 to 2007. I would do the movies that I remember.
If you'd like to see Dawn of the Dead remake, I don't know, it's probably close.
Star Wars Episode 3.
There, Star
Revenge
Wars
of the
there you
Sith.
go.
Pretty much, yeah. Star Wars. I definitely did Star Wars Episode 3.
Oh yeah.
I think
War of the Worlds.
Yeah, War of the
I tried
Worlds.
to do it like
See, this guy knows.
That
I was
was
actually
it. That was
early with
good.
the Dawn of the Dead remake. I think it's 2003, maybe.
Did you have
Might have been 4.
Did you put on an affectation when you were reading it? Like, did you try to be movie guy a little bit?
I would like kind of do it like
Let's
thank
hear
you
it.
for calling Sunstar Movies.
There you go.
These are the the movies that are playing for this week are, and then Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
That's so fun.
Rated
we have a-
PG-13.
we have a little request. Could you speak in that voice whenever you talk on the podcast, please?
Sure, you got it.
There are a lot of like you were saying. There's a lot of great. I went to Vidiots the other day. I was supposed to go see The Wall with Casey, but I
Did you
was.
end up going
I
solo?
did, yeah, I went to go see. It was my first time seeing The Wall.
Yeah, what'd you think?
How was the print?
It was digital.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
It's almost impossible to get hold of at this point.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
MGM,
I'd
it's
imagine.
music rights stuff.
Oh, sure,
Um,
okay.
It seemed like a Blu-ray rip or something. Like there was like a little
Time code?
bug on the
yeah.
corner that was
Yeah.
like DVD something, and every time that popped up, everyone kind of chuckled a bit. But it was really
I mean,
fun
see it
watching
however you can see it at this point.
We went to see, because when they brought Old Boy back in the theater, Natalie and I went to see Lady Vengeance in a theater, and they the movie started and it was the Blu-ray like menu screen that was up projected. I was like, well, all right.
Old boy seen Old Boy. I
wasn't really into this movie till the ending.
I've noticed that at AMC, at the Prime AMC or whatever, I'll stay through the credits, and then at the end I'll see like a Microsoft Start icon in the corner of the screen.
Oh, sure,
That's wild.
And you're like, oh, it's all just a program, I guess.
Digital projection was way after me, and I kind of miss the idea that there's a human being up there who can fix things, and but also film was a fucking nightmare sometimes to handle.
Sure, yeah.
I've had prints melt down and fall off platters, and then it's just a meltdown. Like you don't know what to.
While you were working as a projectionist?
Oh yeah.
What do you do in that situation?
We've had brain wraps where the thing gets completely wrapped around the center of the thing or around the projector pieces.
So you
and then you just have to turn everything off, take everything out of the projector, put it back on a platter, and then start over. And it's an hour and a half long process.
Wow. So we're talking
crazy.
refunds for everyone who's in the theater.
Oh yeah. Nobody's seeing that movie that night.
That's wild.
Yep.
So you were when did you move your way up to projectionist? How long?
Very quickly, 87 I started and did that all the way through 92.
Vignettes will do a great thing where it marks usually what is on film, right? Like which is cool.
That, I think at most theaters around town.
Well, that's what the Vista is very good about now, and the New Bev, and they're great about 16 and 35 prints almost exclusively, or the Vista doing 70 now, which is awesome.
That's rad. Well, here's a question for you working as a projectionist. Did you
ever make funny hand things?
Of course.
That's what you're going to ask.
That was going to be my question.
All right, perfect.
No, I'd like, are you... Because you're running these movies all the time. Like, are you fully locked into the movie each time, or do you have a book you're reading? What are you doing to occupy yourself?
When I started, I was at an 8-plex.
Oh, wow, okay.
Every projection booth serviced 2 theaters. So you would have a projection booth on either side. And so I'd have to run from booth to booth and do all 8 movies.
So you're pretty active the whole time.
And then you're just walking back and forth and checking.
Wow.
So you'd walk in, stand in the theater for a few minutes, make sure everything looked and sounded good, and then just circulate. So no, you almost never watch the entire thing, but you would look through a lot and catch people doing things when they thought they were being unobserved.
Oh, wow.
I saw so many things in the 80s in movie theaters. Yes. Nick.
Yeah,
but
like at the end of Inside Out 2.
You can see that. It's that is why I did I've said this on the podcast like probably 5 times at this point, but I'll just say it again because we're in this territory. My friend who worked in a movie theater, there was someone who was a guy who was jacking off in the front row of a packed theater, and the movie was Les Miserables.
Oh my god.
It was Russell Crowe's singing voice.
Yeah, exactly. I am Javert.
He's like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I have a question for you. As a projectionist, was there ever a time where the Gremlins try to take over the projection room?
You'd be surprised how often.
Yeah. And did Hulk Hogan save you after that or no?
Only once.
I wonder what year Gremlins 2 was, but that was
89.
89. Yeah. I saw that in theaters.
Hey, buddy, the NFL season is back, and our partner Underdog wants to make it a lot more exciting. Join the millions of fans that played on Underdog last year. With their Pick'em game, you could win money by making picks on your favorite players. You could win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on players' stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and much more. 1,000 times! Try finding that on an S&P 500 index fund. You're throwing money away doing conventional investing. Create entries of only NFL picks or mix and match across your other favorite sports. Underdog is available in 30-plus states, including California, Florida, and Texas. Hey, those are big boys. Here are our picks for NFL Week 3, courtesy of Amelia Marino, our associate producer, who should probably call one of those gambling hotlines. New customers can pair our picks with this Patrick Mahomes free pick. Mahomes just needs 1 yard for this pick to win. It's a Weiger lock. Underdog is dropping a promo every day in September, so keep an eye on your lobby. Underdog is the place to play, so sign up now and deposit using promo code Doughboys to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. Underdog is the place to play, so sign up now and deposit using promo code Doughboys to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick.
We should start talking, because it's interesting today. We got to talk about a movie a little bit and our experience.
I don't think we need to spend too much time on the movie. We obviously can talk about it if we want, but I think of the focus here, this is a food podcast, the focus here, and we don't need to be talking about Inside Out 2, like, when's this episode coming out? Like 2 months after it was, released and relevant.
I'll just say this.
Yeah.
We had a lot of options of things to say. There was a chance we were going to go see Do the Right Thing, which would have been so much more.
I really would have wanted to see Do the Right Thing.
I wanted to see it.
It just, like, the timing didn't work out. It wasn't showing that the one night we were all available.
Exactly.
That would have been awesome to see. This is your favorite movie of the 80s, is that correct?
It is. And
Wow.
the newsletter that I do, I'm reviewing every film from the 80s in order. Anything released in the United States.
Yes.
And so it's like 2,800 movies or something like that. And yeah, Do the Right Thing is my favorite film of the 80s.
Wow. Did that ever, like, at what point did it settle in the number one slot?
I didn't like it the first time I saw it.
Okay.
I saw it in the theater that summer one time, and
When was it, 89?
89.
Okay.
And it did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Sure.
It riled me up. I didn't know what I thought of it. I walked out of the theater just upset, and then spent a week talking to a friend of mine about it, went back and saw it the second time, and the second time I just heard the music of it. Because that film maybe has my favorite Spike Lee screenplay. Every single character in that movie is musical.
Right.
And I just love the sound of that film. I love everybody's performances. And yeah, I think ultimately it is the film that maybe says the most about the end of the Reagan era in America.
It's kind of it's like it's a totemic American film.
Absolutely.
But it's like one of the things
I just
that,
feel so bad for that guy in the Bird jersey, the Larry Bird jersey. Is that the wrong takeaway from the movie? Probably.
But this is one of those things where it's like, this is a big check mark in the pros column for the Alamo Drafthouse that they are constantly having like rep screenings like this. Because Nally and I were like looking at the calendar, just like, we should try to go see Do the Right Thing. It also didn't work out for us, but like, it's awesome to just have the opportunity to go see that in the theater.
We're doing Purple Rain in a few weeks.
Oh, that's rad.
And they're doing the Purple Rain party where it's like they hand out, guitars and ridiculous. But I just want to see Purple Rain in a theater for the first time since the 80s. So.
Yeah. So here, I'm going to say this. We're going to just talk about an issue you have with Alamo up top.
Yes.
Sure.
Is that Wags thinks that the food is distracting. And
I am really, specifically the food, I am really disrupted by people crossing my line of sight, which the servers have to do by necessity.
And I think that they usually do a really good job.
They usually do a good job, but it is a thing that to me is an eye draw, and it's a little bit distracting, and I like to be really locked in when I'm watching a movie in a theater.
Like 100%. That is, there's no getting around the fact that you're going to have people going back and forth in fields of vision.
Yeah.
I would say.
And it's a real, like, if you can't stop looking at them, it will make you crazy.
Yeah.
I have an argument, though. That does, sure, there are servers that are coming in and they're bringing food, but I think that in a regular movie theater, you get distractions any way with people leaving. And at Alamo's, you are not going to get cell phones and you're not going to get people talking.
No, that's huge. Those are positive.
They do throw people out. In fact, at our movie was one of the only times I heard there was someone on the row behind us who was kind of talking a little bit during the movie. I never experienced that at Alamo.
Yeah.
People like get the boot, and I love that. I've been in so many movie theaters, and I think people I think it is split when I have looked at our Reddit about this before, but I tell people to be quiet. And if they're doing something at anything
what
is
a subreddit split about?
I think some people are like, you shouldn't tell people to be quiet.
I'm surprised how many people are on the side of, I paid to get in. I'm going to do whatever I want in a movie.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting.
And I think that is a newer thing. It's like, if you are on your cell phone, stay at home.
Yeah.
You don't have to come to a movie theater. You don't even like movies. Well, I mean, look, that's maybe extreme, but it's like, don't take your fucking. I remember I was at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was sitting next to someone who was. And I felt bad because they were enjoying the movie, but they kept turning to their friend and commenting on stuff, and I had to turn to him and I was like, "Hey, excuse me, can you please stop talking?" And she looked at me like I had told her that I wanted her parents to die. She was like, she just stared me down, and I was like, "You're the one who's in the wrong. You're not and I'm not trying to be a rule follower, but you're at a movie. You're supposed to watch what's on the screen." And
that's just courtesy for everyone else.
Well, and people don't understand. They become part of your experience,
right?
And permanently burned in. I remember people who talked in movies 35 years ago if they ruined a movie. Yes. The first time I saw RoboCop, the dude behind us had to explain it to his brother the whole way through. So we're getting, that says arrest mode because he's in arrest mode now. Loudly. For the whole film. It was incredible. So,
I kind of want to see a movie with this guy.
That sounds fun. Yeah.
That's like Buster Rhymes when I saw Glass. I loved it, though.
But literally, that's in my head when I see RoboCop. Permanently.
Yeah, I get that.
It's funny that you have a RoboCop story because Dally and I went to see RoboCop because they're just showing it in a theater again, and it was fucking awesome to see in a theater. But love that movie. But there was a guy there, and he was one of the guys who was trying to do quotes from the movie, but he didn't know them quite right, and so he's he'd it's Bodiger up there, and he's like, "Bitches, get out of here!" I would just say the line incorrectly, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" And then at a certain point, people would say, "Hey man, shut the fuck up!" And he just went, "Suck it."
He told everyone to suck it.
He told everyone to suck it.
That guy rules too, honestly. You know what? I almost give someone like that more of a pass than someone who's just looking at their phone.
Yeah, no, okay. At least you're engaged. And the other thing I was gonna say is, I also.
But shut the fuck up.
And they have rowdy screenings. They have actual designated rowdy screenings of things.
There's certain contexts where that's part of the fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, there's Mummy. There's also Mummy and Me screenings that Wagger, you and I are always trying to get into.
Yeah. They're pretty strict about those policies.
I did dress up as a baby. You tried to take me. We tried to sneak in that way once.
We both lined up at the junior freestyle machine. So the thing I will say is, I understand that. Where I try personally to be a little bit less of a crank is when I see young people at theaters. I'm just happy to see young people there, and
I am too. But that maybe turns me into the most crank.
Right, but I don't know. We went and saw the Boy and the Heron, and there was a group of younger teenage girls who were there watching this animated movie in a theater. And they were not to an annoying degree, but there was some light conversation between them, but they were getting engaged in the movie. And I was like, I'm not going to yell at these kids because they're going out to see a fucking anime in the theater. Yeah, and they're not really disrupting. Yeah.
I'd yell at them. Shut the fuck up. Talk about it afterwards, you fucking idiots. Talk about it later.
I think there's a certain, but also where movie theaters are and how many people are just opting not to go to movies at all. We had an employee who worked with us for a long time, our good buddy Yusong, who has seen fewer than 30 movies over the course of his life. There are young people who just
that's
avoid
his fault. Yusong, that's your fault. Go see movies, you weirdo.
No, it's definitely not a first choice for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think the second screen thing is real. People would rather be somewhere where they can have this screen open and have another screen in the background than be somewhere where they're told not to.
That's a foreign thing for me because part of what I like about going to the movies is that I don't have to look at my fucking phone for a while. But I get that. It's a generational thing.
I'm so bad at watching movies at my house. I get so distracted that I am now just trying to go to the Vista. If it's showing something I haven't seen, I'm like, and even if I've bought that movie on Apple, whatever movies, I still am going to go and watch it at Vista just so I can concentrate on the movie.
Always rather see a movie in the theater, but one thing I will say for you, Mitch, put your phone in the other room when you put a movie on.
Smart man.
Look at it.
Smart man.
Yeah.
Look, if I'm at a theater and you're talking, crank isn't going to be just up on the screen if you catch my drift.
We had a.
We're seeing crank. It's not going to be just on. I'm going to be a crank too.
You see it in IRL as well.
Yeah. Oh, I thought I was just seeing crank on the screen. No, you're seeing it in real life.
No, you're going to see me crank off in the theater.
No, wait, hold on a second.
Mitch and I are cranking off next to each other.
That is a good way to make things.
That's what you get for talking. Good Lord. You should shoot that Alamo trailer. If you talk, you text, he cranks.
The celebrity, those are fun. The celebrity,
those are fun.
Those are a lot of fun. That's
yeah,
I like it.
We had a friend that would go to film festivals, another critic with us, and if somebody did that in a film festival screening, he would loudly, in a quiet theater, go, "Have you no shame?"
That rocks.
Which was the best.
Yeah.
Always got somebody's reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like the idea of doing in that context using your phone. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
I love that Alamo really lays that on. And so anyways, we saw Inside Out 2.
We saw Inside Out 2. Alamo
Which-
Drafthouse Cinema, just a little bit of context for it. As we said earlier, it began in 1997 in Austin. Full service food and drinks during movies. I think this is in enough communities where people are aware of it, but just in case you aren't quite clear on what it is. Menu items are often themed to screenings, as you touched on, and there is a code of conduct, which was also touched on, which prohibits talking, texting, and late arrivals, which made us very nervous. There are 36 U.S. locations. The plurality are in Texas.
I was on time.
You were
on time. What the fuck?
We were sitting down during the first trailer. It was fine. The company was purchased by Sony in June of 2024, and Mitch, this is the thing we talked about during Pank. If we go on the road again, we're going to Omaha, Nebraska. There is an Alamo Drafthouse in Omaha.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go.
Just saying. I'm just saying.
We
But
gotta hit on some weird spots if we tour again. We're gonna go to some weird spots. I mean, we'll
go
lose
to Omaha.
money.
We'll go to Omaha for Alexander Payne.
Okay.
Okay. So this is
For Alexander Payne.
So here's just to talk about what Drew and I experienced. We're sitting outside. We're waiting for Mitch to arrive. 5 minutes before showtime, movie's at 7:30. Drew and I get a text that reads, "I'm ye," from Mitch. Y with 4 E's.
Well, he's ye. We can relax.
Were you pulling into the parking structure when you sent that?
I was pulling into the parking structure. Look, we got to talk about this part of Alamo.
Yeah.
You and I agree, and Drew, I think you agree too. The location is not great.
Specific to the
weird
LA
spot.
one is an odd spot. It's in downtown LA, which is not the like a destination necessarily, unless you're going to see a concert or a sporting event. And then it is in kind of a dead mall that you were pointing out.
Yeah, it's a weird dead mall with there's a Macy's, but then everything else in that mall looks like a fake store that they had to put in a movie because they couldn't clear any real stores.
Yes.
And you can't imagine anybody using any of them.
And it's also adjacent, Mitch, to the very strange downtown food court where you and I and Griffin Newman from the Blank Check podcast went to Sbarro.
Which is weirdly a better mall.
It's weirdly a better mall, but they're both kind of like they're not hot spots in the city. The one advantage of the Alamo Drafthouse, the downtown location, it is directly above a train station. The Metro Center train stop which is like a big train station. It's like right upstairs.
Until you see Silence and the chairs are shaking as you watch Silence. How's that? That works out for you?
Well, it is on the third floor where you're not really getting the shade.
Yeah,
from
I mean, you don't hear
subway.
anything, to be clear.
Yeah.
Well, and I've gone to a lot of movies at this location with Mitch.
Yeah.
And so frequently I will get that text about 2 minutes before showtime.
Got it.
I'm here. Is the elevator working?
Which, by the way,
is a very real concern.
Real issue.
Which is a great question.
Yeah.
Because, and this is the part of the issue. Weiger, if you thought that I was late for that was probably with Drew the earliest I have shown up.
It was great, luxurious.
I show up. I always meet you in the theater, almost always. But before the movie starts, might I add, I always make it on time.
Mitch, you did make it on time.
Yes, he did.
I was on time. But I'll say this: that it is so complicated going from that parking garage if you don't use that elevator, which is why I always ask Drew if it's working. So one thing is that elevator is on the 4th floor. They now don't let you get off on the 4th floor. You have to go up to the 5th floor. I went up to the 5th floor. It was, I think, because of Alamo, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
The 5th floor had not a lot of parking. So I went up to the 6th floor. As I was going up to the 6th floor and getting off on the 6th floor, I nearly ran into a car. I realized I went up the wrong spiral, which was horrifying. Yeah. And also, by the way, I don't know how I was allowed to go up there. And I was
that's wild. Yeah.
It was like a sort of thing where I was like, man, I just did not even realize that that's what it was. And I'm sure that this must happen. But it was like, It was very close. I parked in there. I went down to the 4th floor, took the Alamo elevator. But if you don't take that elevator, you have to go downstairs into this confusing mall.
Right.
Which when I first was going there, I have a handle on it now. I got confused like 4 different times. It's like you're like, where is it? And you can't really. It's a few levels up, so you can't really see where it is. It's an open mall, and like you're just trying. It's like a Waldo. It's like a little Waldo world or whatever. It's frustrating.
That parking structure is really, really daunting. When I've gone with Natalie, we've driven before, and yes, it is a. It's like confusing and disoriented. I genuinely get motion sick going up those spirals.
Yeah, my girlfriend has to close her eyes, like just do that when we're driving up. She can't take it.
Yeah.
Whereas both of my kids, now that they are driving, that was the rite of passage. I'm driving to the Alamo. I want to do the ramp. I want to do the ramp this time. Like both of them were so excited to do that crazy spiral ramp.
Yeah. I'm like,
lunatics.
What is this? The Book of Saw? This spiral's so scary.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, who did? Yeah, what is it? The Book of Saw?
That's what I'm thinking while I'm going up that spiral.
Who designed this place? M.C. Escher? That's his name.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
that's correct.
Well
He's
done.
my favorite DJ.
Okay, so yes, the actual location. This is about specifically the L.A. Alamo Drafthouse.
I hear it's a problem chain-wide, though. I hear some of the New York ones. Some of the New York ones have some odd locations. I think a lot of it is they look for space that they can convert.
Right.
And these aren't necessarily theater spaces in the first place. So they're in stranger places.
Just think of how much I'm just thinking of. I've been to Vidius, which I love, and Vidius is a great spot. And now I've been just a couple times. I've ditched Casey once. I was having a colonoscopy. That's why I was having a colonoscopy, and I was afraid to go and shit my pants during the wall. That was a real fear. But if you think of Alamo being out in whatever Eagle Rock or Glendale or Pasadena, having space, it's like I think it would be a huge hit. If you put Alamo Drafthouse in Pasadena, I'm like that's like. It would explode. I think people, and it's just downtown was, that spot downtown was not the right spot, which is frustrating.
I think they're opening one in Highland Park.
That makes great sense.
Good.
There's a theater in Highland Park that recently closed, and I heard that Alamo picked it up.
They'll kill.
They'll make
Well, I'm hoping if Sony puts some money behind them, I'm hoping they expand because it's still like less than 40 locations total.
Yeah, I think there's 36 right now.
There's one in, do you know, there's one in the Seaport in Boston, I believe.
There is. I walked by it last time we were there. Mookie, Mike, and I walked around the Seaport and ended up at Legal Seafoods, and we walked by it, and I was like, whoa, there's an Alamo here.
Nice.
And it
looked nice. It looked like a genuine theater. I didn't go inside.
And that's like, I mean, I feel like that's probably a decent spot.
Probably.
Parking
that
is
was
bad
like
in the Seaport.
basically a parking lot when I lived in Boston, the Seaport, and now it's all built up, but it's a very popular place to be now.
I think that's a better spot. But it was, when I was looking at times there, I was going to try to go see a movie there, and it was very strange time. It was like just opening up last time I was home. But I want to visit next time I'm back there. I think there's not a ton of brand awareness either in Massachusetts. I don't think they know it as well. There was an ArcLight at TD Garden, home of the 2024 Boston Celtics championship team. There was an ArcLight there, and I think people had no idea what ArcLight was either, really. And then that one was like barely open. I feel like it was open like a year or something.
It's a weird time to be opening new theaters anyway.
Right.
I think it's definitely more of a gamble now, and it feels like you've got to work harder, which is why I think they do the rep screenings and the extra stuff, and they're really trying to make it a value. I know right after the pandemic, when they were trying to get people back to the theaters, they made private rentals very cheap.
Okay.
Because I did my oldest son's 16th birthday at one, and it was really affordable. And we just programmed a movie, and he brought 15 of his friends, and they watched The Thing.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
It was great. What a cool way to, have a birthday party.
Yeah.
I think they're a little more expensive now, but still, I think they're exploring all of these ways to try to make the theater more community minded or get people back in. It's kind of important,
which I love about it. And a funny thing about going there now is that like when we went to our movie, the tables are a little bit more worn now. You're seeing it be a little bit more run down, which by the way, if the ArcLight opens again, like they need to update their seats. You know what I mean? There's and now you're starting to feel the age a little bit at that downtown location. But I'd say comfy enough seats. I think that the setup works for what it is. If you want to look at a menu, you put it under, for people who haven't been there, there's a little light under the table and you hold on there. It's not distracting.
No,
put a menu
that's
under
really
there,
well
you can
done.
read it. Yeah, that is well done.
No, that's not an eye draw. That doesn't like to make the theater seem all super illuminated or anything. Still feels like a dark theater.
And I think the ordering is very well done too. There's a button that you push and you put a card. The buttons are newer, right?
Yeah, the buttons were a recent addition because I think they had some problems with people putting a card up and then it not getting seen.
Sure, yeah.
And so they quickly added the buttons, and now there's a little call button. You put the menu order up, and they'll come get it within like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah. We honestly, weirdly, I thought that they stopped service a little early for our movie.
I thought they did, which is why we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we bought 3 seats. This was another kind of simmering subplot here. We bought 3 seats, but only 2 were together.
Yes.
And there was 2 seats. There was a woman sitting there, and then another empty seat, which was the third one we bought. And we'd kind of prepared for this, and I went in and I talked to her, and I said, like, hey, do you mind switching whatever? It's totally cool if you don't want to. She was so nice about it. She was so happy to move over. It was great.
She ruled. She was having a blast.
And she was having fun watching the movie.
I felt bad at the end when she's like, what did you think? It was great, huh? And I was like, uh-huh. I lied.
But I will say, she also was like, who played Mindy Kaling? Because she clocked that something was off about the voice casting, which is a whole like Pixar being cheap and not wanting to pay for Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling.
Which, look, I know that Mindy Kaling and Bill Hader have a lot you
know, has more money? Fucking Disney.
Yeah. And that was the thing that really bothered me.
It sucks.
It's weird.
For a movie that is, the first one was how old? 9 years ago or something? You said 8 or 9 years ago? It's like, I was saying this, is that when I was going in there and trying to, like, I saw Inside Out 1 and trying to recollect what I remembered from that movie.
Right, because this isn't the kind of movie where you're like watching a lore video before you go see the sequel to like remember, what happened in the first Dune movie? I gotta do my homework. It's just like, Inside Out 2. I'm sure they'll
her emotions run around in her head.
Exactly, right. I get it.
Yeah.
But you are kind of trying to track, like, wait, who is that? Which
you lost
was that?
Just not having the characters back. First of all, that sucks shit. Fuck you, Disney.
That does suck.
And you should pay your actors. But it's that sort of thing of like, anything that I can grasp onto from the first one, now there's these changes and I don't, it makes me more lost.
I'm
in the
unmoored
movie.
a little bit because my connection to this character was through the actor, and now that connection is severed, and so now I have to relearn who this is. Versus like Louis Black as Anger, got it. Yeah, I'm just clocked in. You know.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, so but we saw the movie. I didn't love it, but I did have a great time with the food. So I've been drinking a lot less lately, but I did treat myself to a marg here. I got their watermelon mezcal margarita. I was hoping they'd have some sort of boozy thing that was themed to a recent release, and that is what you got, Mitch. But it's for an 80s movie. It's for Vampire's Kiss.
It's for Vampire's
Transylvania
Kiss. I'm
Mule.
trying to pull up the menu right now.
Yeah,
but
I should have everything here, but so let me know if you need anything.
I got that, which was basically, it was like
it's vodka,
a mule, basically.
raspberry gum, which I don't know what that is exactly. Top Hat ginger beer, cranberry, lime, and cherry.
Wait, what is it? What are mules? What is the full name of a mule?
Moscow
Mule.
Yeah.
There's also Irish mules.
Oh, right. They use whiskey, right? Yeah. I thought that was a pretty tasty drink. They do good. The
drinks are great.
I like
really decent cocktails down there. They also, I think they were one of the first places that I remember seeing boozy milkshakes at.
Yep.
And I'm not like a boozy milkshake guy, but I was like, cool. I remember back in the day thinking that was cool.
I thought about getting one because I just never get them. But I was like, I'm going to get the rumblies from a milkshake. Yep. So I decided not to do it.
Well, I did that for you anyways.
Yeah, you got a milkshake.
I got a milkshake right
the margarita, I will just say, is it's just, it's a watermelon puree, a mezcal, lime juice, and a salted rim. And I thought it was really tasty. I've had success with the cocktails that I've had there. And they do have a very long, it's the Drafthouse, so they do have a very long beer list, including some NA beer options, which is great to see.
The Transylvania Mule.
I
like it. I liked all the Wags and I actually both said this. There was a 1989 pint glass, and we both wish we got one.
I should have gotten the 1989 pint glass.
Yeah, they're this summer they're doing 99, 94, 89, 84.
Those
are the 4 programs, and they did shot glass or pint glasses for all of them, and yeah, they're great looking.
89 is a good one. I want to get that 89.
When you're going through the 2880s movies that were released in America, do you have an ultimate ranking, or are you listing them all out by numerical value, or do you not go that deep into it?
I recently did a project where I went through my life, 1970 to now, and did my top 30 movies for every year.
Wow!
Just to kind of try and figure it out, because
that rules.
At this point I've seen so many.
Yeah,
films.
Sure.
And looking at the 80s, it's not what I would have thought. Like when I really weighed everything, it's a great decade. It's a fun decade to write about, but I think my attitudes towards a lot of those movies have changed over the years. Things that I canonized when I was little, I go back now and definitely have a different perspective on.
Yeah, for sure. What about just the drink that inspired Mitch's cocktail, Vampire's Kiss specifically, the movie that inspired that drink?
Terrific Nicolas Cage performance.
Wow.
Like, it's a crazy little movie, and it's when Nick Cage was still kind of a new presence.
Yeah.
And that was the run, like Birdie and Moonstruck and Vampire's Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just every time out, this guy's going to do something insane. And I'm totally down for what it is.
Yeah.
I love that performance.
Yeah. He settled in, though.
Yeah. Oh, sure. He got super normal later.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
Transylvania Mule, decent name. I didn't get it, but Pizza of the Future could have a better name.
Yeah.
Alamo, if you need some menu writing, we got Wags here. He and I
This is what I do, yeah.
We could do this. If you ever need help, we're down to do it.
That one was specifically Back to the Future 2. And
Yes.
if you remember the movie, it's literally a half pepperoni, half green pepper pizza.
I remember that, but you know what's so crazy? It says inspired by Back to the Future Part 1, which
Wrong.
Wrong.
That's
That's what I was like, wait a minute, that's wrong.
Yeah, they don't have future pizza.
You can't make that mistake with all the nerds that are coming to your theater. They know.
God, how often are they fucking actually about menu items?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, right now, I always did want to eat that pizza, so I think that it was a great choice. And Wags, I got another thing from that menu so this was my main meal, but we should get to the appetizers first. I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah. Your Coke Zero, was that hitting?
I love that they have Coke Zero.
Me too.
Because that's my preference. I don't like Diet Coke.
Me
I think
too,
they're
yeah.
totally different drinks.
Yeah, I agree.
And so if a place has Coke Zero, I become very loyal. Like, thank you. And yeah, that's every time.
I got a Diet Coke too, which they have Diet Coke as well. And I like Diet Coke. And I'll say what I like about it is that popcorn and drinks are bottomless.
Yeah.
They're bottomless, and they also come in a proper receptacle. Like, you got a proper cup. It's not a disposable cup, and it's a big bowl of popcorn. I like both those. I like having a cup with some heft to it.
Yep.
I think that rules. Getting a second bowl of popcorn is not easy. I've seen movies with you where we've done it, but on the second bowl, I'm like dying.
Yeah.
But it's a big old bowl of popcorn and with real butter, clarified butter.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. The popcorn there, I think, is really, really good movie.
They also do a couple of variations. They do the Parmesan popcorn.
Yes.
And they do the churro popcorn.
Which I've never had.
I've had the churro popcorn with you, and it's fantastic.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Just cinnamon sugar and then these hard churro pieces that are... Yeah, great one.
That does. It looks good. It looks like an indulgence. So I'm famously a popcorn skeptic, at least famously in the context of this podcast. I have had Alamo popcorn, and I do like their popcorn.
Yeah.
So I will say that's I think maybe it's just being in a bowl is
no. It's the fact that they pop it. As somebody who worked in theaters for years, AMC was my first chain. All that stuff gets popped in advance. It's put in bags. Half the time you're getting popcorn from yesterday.
Yeah.
And so it's not the same thing at all. And it's all done with the fake weird butter and the weird corn syrup stuff. That's a big difference. It tastes different. It is what you think of as popcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. And the fact that you can refill it is
pretty appealing.
It's I know that at AMC if you get a big bucket, but this is the only popcorn you can get there, and it just is a better popcorn. It tastes real.
Either of you ever do the thing where you find you go to one of a theater that has the refillable popcorn bucket, and you find the someone's discarded large popcorn bucket, and you get the free refill?
No, what the fuck?
You never did that? I did that when I was a teenager. Yeah.
You fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, my friend would find a large popcorn bucket in the trash.
Well, the
You're
real
like,
move back in the
trash.
80s and 90s, if you wanted to theater hop, was as long as you bought something from concession or checked in at concession, they wouldn't kick you out. Because if you're
Right.
walking around with concessions, they're not throwing you out of anywhere.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. You fucking scumbag. I got bad news for you, Wags.
Yeah.
Those bowls that they put them in, they're metal bowls, so you can't pull your famous popcorn trick. Unless you have like
Your
a
actual
really
power
strong
tools.
power tools. Yeah.
So okay, we opted not to pop though. We got chips and queso.
We did not pop.
We got fried pickle spears, which was a rec from our friend of the show, Eva Anderson, and so those were our starters. Here's one thing I will say, because I don't eat pork anymore and I try to eat less meat in general. A lot of quesos have added they've got chorizo or something in them. This is a vegetarian queso, and I think it's quite a yummy queso.
You can add beef to it if you
But they
like.
only
okay.
recently did that, I think, because I didn't realize you could add beef to it. And then that's my younger son's like go-to there is the chips and queso. And when the waiter the last time asked him, or the server said, "Do you want beef in there?" He was like, "I'm sorry, what? You can do what?"
Yeah.
And he did it just because he's like, "Yeah, I think so. Put it in." Yeah, didn't even realize it was an option.
Yeah.
I think that queso is. I've had it before with you. I think that queso is really fantastic.
I'd be
It's good.
curious for people who are, for Texans, how they feel about their queso. I would imagine if you're doing a queso in Texas, you better make sure you do your homework on that because people are pretty picky about it. But it feels like, for me as a guy who's not an expert on Tex-Mex food, but has enjoyed it when I've had it, it feels like a good representation of queso.
I think it's a really solid queso.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that's pretty reliable there. Like, I think that's true of most of their food is it's consistent.
Yeah.
If you get it one
right.
time and then you get another, it will be the same thing. And their queso is pretty predictable.
The other thing I like about it is that I'm a nacho guy again, this ties into my popcorn skepticism, but it feels like, oh, not nachos. I get chips and queso. It feels like you're doing something kind of fun and out there,
Well, I know Mitch has seen this a few times. Sometimes all I want is French fries.
Oh, sure.
And just getting a basket of fries there, I think is terrific as an alternative to popcorn or a full meal or something, because it hits the salty and the sweet a little bit for me, and it's a really nice alternative.
Yeah. The fried pickle spears, there's another thing I'm generally a skeptic of. I thought they were really well done.
They were well done. I did pull one of the pickles did come out. I had two of them came out of the crusted. You know what I'm talking about?
That's not ideal.
Yeah, it's burning the shit out of me. But I was like, I ate them like that pickle I ate within like seconds to coming to our table. I had to let it cool down a little bit. But I thought well done. I thought they tasted good. I thought they did a good job. They had like it didn't taste like I was at any bar USA and eating pickle spears. They were well done.
They were like a cut above what you might get like a Chili's or something like that.
Yeah.
Not to throw Chili's under the bus.
I think it's easy to just order the same thing every time. Like I have my standards, my things I like. So I have never tried those at all.
Oh, wow.
And I thought they were great. I thought they were really tasty, and it's not something that I would have had on my radar. We took some friends recently and did the vegan cauliflower buffalo.
Yeah.
And I was shocked by how good they were. Like that's something that you can do really crummy versions
I've had
of.
bad versions of it.
Like a lot of bad versions of it. I thought theirs was delicious. Like it really was like a wing.
What is your go-to? And is that what you got to when we went to Inside Out too?
No, normally if I'm just doing like an app or just something little, I'll do French fries.
Just the fries, yeah.
Or the churro popcorn sometimes. But if I do the whole meal, I'll wait and I'll get fries with whatever the thing is.
Got it. And is what you got, because you got the grilled chicken club and you had a clutch substitution, which was a sub in the fried chicken for it. Is that like kind of your go-to sandwich?
It's one of them.
Okay.
I really like that sandwich. And the move there is you order the grilled chicken club sandwich, but you have them put the fried chicken breast on it.
Yes.
And because their fried chicken sandwich, not great.
Yeah, I was looking at
but
their
the fried chicken is a really good piece.
Their fried chicken sandwich has it has like Brussels sprouts on it. It's kind of like trying some different things.
Not for me. I love the other version though with that substitution.
But you know what is pretty good there, and I didn't have it on this trip. The Royale with cheese is pretty good. And you know what? It's also fun to order, Wags.
It is fun to order a Royale with cheese. So the grilled chicken club with the fried chicken patty, which is what you got, is cheddar, bacon, avocado, lettuce, tomato, lemon garlic aioli, and a toasted bun. The burger I got is not the Royale with cheese. I got the Hellfire burger because I'm a bit of a heat seeker. But they do have a Beyond Patty there. So I subbed in a Beyond Patty, and I got that a veggie style with a melted hot pepper cheese, caramelized onions, blue cheese, Reaper pepper mayo, and toasted bun.
I'm surprised you go with the Royale is just looks better to me, and I've had it, and it's very good, but I've never had the Hellfire. Did you like it?
Well, that was the thing. I'd never had the Hellfire, so that's why I tried it, and I did like it. I thought it was quite yummy. That was well cooked.
How dominant is the blue cheese? Because that for me is a deal breaker.
I honestly, just having it, and maybe I'm just more primed for more pepper, but like I felt it was more blue cheese dominant than like spicy dominant. It felt more like a blue cheeseburger with caramelized onions to me, with like a little bit of spice. But it was yummy. I enjoyed it.
Shout outs to I've had some of the pizza before. I think the pizza's decent.
Their pizzas are really good.
Their pizza oven was broken.
Yeah.
Oh,
which
wow.
I heard them say it in hushed tones to a bunch of disappointed customers.
Oh, that's a bummer. I didn't realize that. We didn't get any pizza items. But would anyone have gotten one if it wasn't?
I thought about it.
Oh,
Maybe.
really?
I like their pizzas a lot. I think they do a really good job, and they'll customize and they'll mix and match. Like they're pretty good. That's the thing. It's a real kitchen.
Yeah.
It's not all prefabbed and frozen and then just warmed up. Like they're making it for you, so you can really customize things.
It is hard to eat in the dark. I will say that it is difficult if you're getting some of this bigger stuff to eat in the dark. But they do a good job of like it comes to you pretty early on in the movie, and we were the way that things went. Like usually I have a game plan there, and like we were like I know what I'm gonna do, and because of that, we were like trying to figure out what we were going to do. So like even during the movie a little bit, and I was like, I was getting a little distracted by it, but luckily you could get distracted for an hour of Inside Out 2 and not have to worry about what was going on screen.
I got it. I know what's going on.
It was a very much like, this is happening. Sure.
Yeah. Another phrase about the mind that you've rendered visually. Sure. It's like, it's the train of thought. Look out.
The sarcasm. The sarcasm.
Sure.
I almost rolled one of my eyes out of my head.
And I mean, we just kept looking up, being like, "Is the horny character here yet?"
No, horny. Right.
Which is a weird thing. That's not like there's a part of puberty is like the weird, gross side of puberty, which they can't talk about in a children's movie.
They tap dance around that one.
They really did, but that's a huge
everything
part of it.
But so there's
I waited for the hormones to arrive.
You kind of wait because the movie it's a 13-year-old girl.
Why didn't they just do that? Hormone. That would have worked. That would have
been fun. The puberty alarm goes off, and Natalie shared with me a Letterboxd review after she saw it. That was just someone saying, "Where's horny?" Because it's like of all the emotions that a teenager has to grapple with, just to not touch on this. But it's kind of like the Monsters University approach, which is another Pixar movie that's like it's a college movie that completely avoids drugs, sex, and alcohol.
Yeah,
which is like.
Just like our experience.
Yeah. Playing Mario Kart. All right, this all checks out.
Monsters University.
Totally
a big
realistic.
Monster going through college, not fucking anyone. This makes sense. I gotta give a shout out. I gotta give a shout out for something that I tried. That's my and you said that it was good. It's one of my favorite things I've had there. The hand-breaded chicken tenders are fantastic.
But did we get them at that?
I did not get them, and I was so close to getting them again. I went with the special, but the 24-hour dry brine, fried golden, served with scratch-made Hatch green chili gravy, and that gravy is fucking good. And the chicken tenders are quality chicken tenders. They come with fries. They're good.
I saw our buddy Alan McLeod Molasses Boy, and he was talking up the chicken tenders.
Oh boy, how long did this fucking interaction take?
I was there for a while.
He was talking up the chicken tenders?
He was talking about.
He knows what's up.
Because it has a little gravy, a little carafe
boy.
gravy. Yeah.
I know somebody who loves the fish and chips as well. Like, really love, because they'll bring the malt vinegar to you. They'll do the whole thing. So
No, it's good food. I've enjoyed basically everything I've had there. I think my one disappointing food experience was not even necessarily the food. It was the pairing of food with movie. I saw Mad God, the stop motion horror film.
Yeah.
And Natalie and I were sitting in the front row. So we're like right in the middle of it. And that's a nasty movie. It's a whole bunch of body or a bunch of gross stuff. And I've said this on the podcast before. I got like a Cobb salad. So I'm just eating like wet lettuce while I'm watching like a body be dismembered. And I'm like, this is fucking gross.
Yeah, that's gnarly.
Yeah, it's repulsive.
I did the Henry Dog, which was on the special menu here.
Inspired by Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade.
And how can I turn that down? Truly, I mean, I love that movie.
Yeah.
And I wish we were in there watching it. It would have been great. But
shouldn't it be the Indiana Dog? They named the dog Indiana.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
They need to punch up the item names.
Yeah, that's all right.
They maybe don't
I'll
want
get
to
in there.
imply that you're eating a dog.
Oh,
that
interesting.
could be it.
That
Yeah.
might be too weird.
It was not a real dog, Jemmy.
Don't worry. You're safe, baby.
Not a real dog.
Don't worry, baby.
It's good.
It was a bacon-wrapped hot dog, spicy carrot relish, lemon garlic aioli, fresh cucumber, pickled jalapeno, buttered bun served with french fries and ketchup. I thought it tasted fantastic. My issue was, and luckily we had a bunch of other stuff, was that it was just kind of not enough for me. I like was trying to do dinner.
I can see that.
I just needed probably another dog or like a big jumbo dog or something like that.
that to me sounds like it should be like a big old Frank.
But we're bringing up something with the Alamo that is crazy to us is that there's no, or at least your son said this, there's no hot dog at the theater.
Yeah.
Not by default, no.
They need to get a hot dog in there. Get a big
hot
jumbo
dog in there. What are
dog.
you doing?
Get a jumbo dog in there. I think that everyone will be happy if you had a
There
jumbo
should be
dog.
a default dog that's the standard on the menu.
Yeah.
I was also very happy to actually hear you say hot dog in the wild. Like that was awesome.
Oh, he is an idiot. But I and the fries are great.
Yeah.
I genuinely
Good
enjoyed it.
fries.
And,
Really
and
enjoyed the fries.
I got myself a Diet Coke after I got the Vampire's Kiss. The Vampire's Kiss was very good. And then, Wags, you tried to order cookies.
Yeah, so this is a thing, and it actually happened to my seatmate next to me, the lovely woman who I traded seats with.
She ruled, yeah.
You're cut off pretty early, and I was like, they bring you your bill with what you put a card down the way it works, and then they will bring you your bill to close out before the movie is over.
Well,
And
they
a
cut
lot
you
of
off
times,
of booze pretty early. Like you were like after like 10 minutes in, they were like, no more booze.
yeah,
for you.
they cut me off immediately after 4 watermelon mezcal margaritas during the trailers, and then they. They bring that out, and then at that point, it's kind of like the door is shut on more ordering. So I had a little card that I'd put out there that I wanted to get, an order of cookies. I was like, that'd be fun. We'll have some cookies. But then they were like, I'm so sorry, service has ended. And they said the same thing to the woman next to me. Are kind of disappointed.
Which is
there was
crazy.
like 45 minutes of movie left too.
And there was another movie after ours. That's what
Yeah.
really confused me. I understand it at the late movies.
Right.
Like when you and I go like to a 10:30
Yeah.
and they close the kitchen at like midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
But there was a whole other service after
Yeah.
ours.
That's a little disappointing.
It was a little. I thought it was a little early to do it.
But that's also a lesson learned of like, I just got to put my order in earlier.
But you know what's funny though is that they brought us our receipt
Yeah.
and your sandwich hadn't come yet,
Mhm.
and I put up a thing for a chocolate milkshake, and the guy came down and he looked and he took it and he took the receipt back,
So it was,
and then
I think it was because you had not closed out completely.
closed out completely. But I didn't close out still after that, but
Yeah.
you were like a minute later, and it felt like I was like the last.
Oh,
This
that
is
could
like
have
the
been it.
last thing I'm gonna do for these 3 old men who are here to see Inside Out 2.
I guess they need a milkshake, whatever.
That all seem to be sharing their food. I don't know what their deal is.
They're all saying there should be a horny emotion. This animated film about a 13-year-old
Just close their
girl.
bill out. Get them out of here. Close them out.
Get them a milkshake. Get the fuck out of here.
I got a chocolate milkshake, Wags, and I actually felt bad, especially when you couldn't get the cookies, because I should have gotten a vanilla milkshake. And I liked the chocolate milkshake, and you could tell that it was like a nice quality milkshake.
Yeah.
But it felt like there was just chocolate syrup in there, and I think that it would have been better to try the vanilla.
Yeah, you gave me a sip, and honestly, I didn't know what flavor it was until I checked the receipt later. I was like, this tastes pretty good. I didn't realize it was actually
mainly just ice cream.
It was,
Like, it
yeah,
was
yeah,
just
yeah.
ice
Sweet cream,
flavor.
right.
Yeah.
Which is, look, if you want to get a milkshake,
Yeah.
and you're going to a movie, they got nice quality milkshakes.
I like the Oreo one.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They have a good Oreo,
and they give you one of those thick straws, which I know you like. You like the thick straws.
Yeah. Okay.
I know
like
you
a bubble
do.
straw.
You
I
do.
do like
You
a bubble
do.
straw, yeah.
But I thought it was still decent. I thought our food was all good. I look, like I said, I showed my hand early on. I do like this place. I think it is one, like not the first of its kind. I know that like the dinner theaters have been around for a long time. But I felt like it was like, hey, this is the new thing. This is like they've got a take on it that really works. And I enjoy it. Now there are copycats, of course.
Well, and there's a part of it that you've never experienced simply because of when you show up. But the pre-shows at the Alamo are terrific. I love when you show up like a half an hour early and you're sitting in the theater, they theme everything that you see. And they will find crazy clips from 70s stuff. Mm-hmm. Like if you go see a superhero film, you'll see a lot of the Bill Bixby Incredible Hulk, or you'll see Doctor Strange from the 70s. Like, I love the way they do that, and they kind of get you into the mood for a half an hour or so before the movies begin even. And that's cool. Like, it's an inviting way to get you warmed up. It's not just the same ads or movie trivia or junk like that. Like, I like that part of the experience as well.
I love how casually you just tomahawk dunked all over Mitch. Like Shaq dunking on Chris Dudley and then pushing him over, just walking away.
Like Jaylen Brown dunking on Luka. How's that? I do, and they sometimes have celebrities that are like, if you talk, like, this celebrity is going to come and like beat you up, and there's a lot of fun stuff.
That stuff's fun. I'm trying to remember any specifically, but like I think when we saw Sasquatch Sunset there, they had like a bunch of like just like Sasquatch content in the pre-show, and that was a lot of fun to watch. And just puts you in the mood.
I'll say this to quickly go back to Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
It does get like, it gets the tear jerk motions, but it was like my eye here was like starting to water up. But it never hit it home. It felt like a movie that was really going through the motions. It felt just kind of like, all right, here it is. This is a sequel. And I said this to you, but like, it feels weirdly elitist. It's about like a family in San Francisco, and it feels like a world like, oh, this is a young girl who like is going to go to an Ivy League college, and it feels like the people who work at Pixar's lives is basically what we were saying.
It's an unfortunate kind of streak that's through a few different Pixar films, and I thought it was just a Brad Bird thing at times. But like it is kind of like, no, what makes you worthwhile is being high achieving, and it's like and Natalie had the same sort of observation. She was like, movie should be about accepting who you are. Yeah. Honestly, I think that's what's great about Monsters University. To go back to that, it's like the end of that movie is like, oh, you know what, this isn't a great fit for us. We have something else we should be doing with our lives. We shouldn't have these aspirations because it's not for us, you know?
Yeah, just even the hockey being her sport is like the most expensive sport. It's just like these funny things where you're like, you're in the Bay Area. This just feels very much like not the rest of America. You know what I mean? But
your dad's fucking hot.
Yeah.
You gotta look at this fucking dilf the whole time.
Why was the dad so fucking hot?
Dilfs.
Also, anxiety controlling things through like
a lot
controlling
of anxiety,
all, like there was like there's just like, why is anxiety the thing that's driving? It drives a lot, but it doesn't.
Just
drive
reading
everything.
about it, it's clear like all the way through production they wrestled with which new emotions to introduce, and I don't know if they landed on the right. I didn't think they used ennui very well.
No.
Like it was.
No, she was sitting out not doing much. She was like her character. She wasn't taking part in the movie.
It was odd considering how great that first film was, and it really was upper tier Pixar.
Yeah. I think the first one's great.
This felt like a rough animatic for a sequel. Like, this is what it'll be like.
Yeah.
These are all the beats we'll do, but it didn't feel like a film, really.
Yeah, riding the emotion balls back. You were saying that afterwards.
Strange.
Kind of like some strange stuff.
My big issue is just with the all these things. I agree with all of them, but my other big issue is that I just don't think it's a great sports movie. So for something that's so centered around sports, it's like, I don't know. There's all these sports movie tropes you could kind of run with if you want to have just a very simple skeletal narrative to string together all the internality of the character. But it's just kind of like,
it's low stakes. It's like even early on they're like, this is a practice. Who cares? So you're like, okay, well, whatever.
Hey, buddy. Headgum and Gumball have a few questions for the listeners, so they've created an audience survey specifically for Doughboys fans. What they learn from this survey will allow them to seek out more updated and relevant advertisers for 2025. How exciting is that? You're listening to the podcast and you're like, I love the ads, but I really wish they were updated and relevant. Well, it's coming soon, as long as you participate in the audience survey. It also helps us to plan for future episodes. So give us some feedback specific to the Doughboys ecosystem. The survey takes 2 minutes to fill out, so you can do it while you're in line at Taco Bell or even in the bathroom after Taco Bell. Going number 3. Find the survey linked in the episode description, or you can go to birdfuck.com or birdpluck.com. Take the Headgum survey. Do it for me, the Burger Boy. We should get to our thoughts on Alamo Drafthouse, the chain. So, Drew, you know the podcast, but just to recap, we will each go around, give a closing argument, if you will, and give it a score from 0 to 5 forks. You're our guest. Seated to my left. We'll begin with you.
Overall, I think that this chain is trying to make the theatrical experience special, and that is something that I am 100% behind. I think they have some weird location issues in some of their places. I wish they had a little bit more variety in the menu on a regular basis. I like when they do the specials. I wish they rotated more things through.
Yeah.
There are things that they've done in the past that they did well. I wish they'd bring back. Overall, though, I think it is about what I would want from this experience. The only way it could really get better is if you had more room, bigger screens, a couple of 70 millimeter, make a deal with IMAX. There's ways you could improve it. So I'm going to go 4 forks.
Wow.
Because I think there's room to make it great, but I think as it stands, it's a really good theater experience.
4 forks. Good score. Mitch, what do you think?
I think that's a great score.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, I think people have saw this model, and I mean, there's dinner theater places, like we said, I remember when I first heard of it back in like the 80s or 90s, that like down in Cape Cod, there was a place where you could see a movie and get dinner. And I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. But I think that this place does such a great job with it. And a lot of places, like newer places, have kind of taken that model that Drafthouse has, and they've tried to copy it. There's a place in Glendale. Have you been to that, Casey? Have you been to the place?
The Look Theater?
Look Theater?
I know of it. I haven't been there. I'm not much of a dinner theater movie goer myself.
Sure, yeah. I get that. I get it. And there's in New York, there's a couple that
we talked about those with Griff, and we've talked about those with Sims.
Like Nighthawk.
The Nighthawk.
I'd love to get a Nighthawk. It sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I get your point, Casey. Like, if you're going to see Dune and you want to see it in 70, like the Chinese 70 is one of my favorites. I like that screen a lot. I will go for certain things to a giant screen because I want to get lost in it.
Yeah.
But for a lot of movies, I'm good with this version of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
I kind of love this place. Again, my first experience was Force Awakens, which is a bad first experience, I guess. But you could just tell the magic, and that wasn't even the original. Like when I was going in there, and it's like, oh, this is not only a place, like it's like and it feels like the same way with Vidiot's or any of these kind of like Vista or any of these places where it's like this is a community where people love movies and they really care about movies, and you can feel that when you're in there. And I think that the food is really well done, and I agree with you. There are some shortcomings that they could get better with, but I can't go below 4 forks. I think it's 4 forks, and I think there's some version of this, if they do it in Eagle Rock or whatever, that could be a 5 fork theater. But I love it, and if I get not liking dinner theater, but for a place that has dinner theater, you're not going to get distracted. There's not going to be people talking or cell phones or whatever, and you're going to get good food. It's a 4 forker. It's great.
I think I'm more on Casey's page here. I think we're more the kind of like the way our movie watching experience, I think, is more like that. That's more what I'm looking for. Like I want to be kind of just like locked in and sitting in the theater and just kind of immersed, right? That's kind of what you're going for. That's kind of your ideal. Yeah.
Sure.
And so like, for instance, where we saw Zodiac back when we were doing Mank, when we saw that at the Aero Theater in Santa Monica, which is like, you know, this rep theater, like that, just like sitting in an old movie house and just watching it. Like that's what I'm looking
That's
for.
a great theater.
That's a great theater. And if I was going to see Do the Right Thing, I'd rather see it at a venue like that than see it at the Alamo. But it's awesome that Alamo will show movies like Do the Right Thing. And it's awesome that they're continually programming
And it's
things.
not their fault that you're a distracted little bitch either. That wants to go to
Fair point.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with it. I'm a distracted little bitch. What's that?
This is my payback for you when we were doing mic checks and you fucking mocked me. But you and Casey sit at the theater with your cup of water, fucking bore the hell out of everyone. We have they make sure that people are not talking or using their phones.
These
That's
are, again,
huge.
When I'm making check marks in the pro column, those are big check marks. Those are big positives. And honestly, I probably am, despite me saying that, yes, it's an eye draw. I don't like people crossing my field of vision when watching a movie.
I want to also say and the staff is usually always great.
They're great about that.
Yes.
They're great about, but again,
they're film fans. Like so many of them are film fans.
Just for me, me specifically, I get distracted by that motion. I get distracted by just like bodies being physically, walking back and forth in front of the screen, even though they're a very good job of seeming invisible.
Oh boy.
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me land the fucking plane before you jump down my throat.
It's coming in, man.
Also, can I give one last shout out to this because we didn't talk about it too much, but there's a bar there and there's karaoke. There is they're trying to do the community thing a little bit there.
Drag queen bingo on the weekends and all sorts of stuff like trivia nights.
Was there VHSs and stuff too? Or there's
you can rent DVDs there. They have a pretty interesting rental library and it's free if you're an Alamo member.
Which you are.
Yeah. This is what I was going to say is that's part of what I really like about it is that you go in and it feels like a fucking picture house. It feels like this is a movie theater. You're walking by, there's old gigantic Italian movie posters and old John Derek westerns. There's all this stuff for these for old. It feels like a love letter to movies. I know that's a cliche, but that's kind of like how it feels just to be inside of there. It feels like there's a love of cinema that's behind everything. I love going to the movies. I love movie theaters. I've talked about my own personal movie theater journey on this podcast, which is very personal to me, which is that I was having a lot of claustrophobia and anxiety issues with theaters for a long time, was staying away from them. And it's a thing that I feel like I'm largely on the other side of, and it's a thing that I can enjoy doing again. And so when I go to the it's like a thing that I love to do is to go to the movies. And I will say, despite the minor distractions that I feel when I'm at the Alamo, I think the food quality is really great. I think the movies they program are great. And I think that everyone there who's behind it is someone who's a lover of cinema. And I think this chain, at least by virtue of its overall philosophy, achieves what it is trying to do. So it belongs in the Golden Plate Club with a 4 fork score. 4 forks for Alamo Drafthouse.
And a bonus point for the weird unisex bathrooms.
I do like the unisex bathroom.
I do too.
Because there's like a little cubby hole for urinals, but then there's also we should have brought this up. Thank you very much for bringing this up, Drew. Floor to ceiling stalls. Yep. How great is that?
Just little private rooms.
Exactly.
Yes. I think
I'm in there all the time. I love it in there.
The fuck? There's a urinal room, and then I've told you before that the unisex bathroom. Sometimes my fear is leaving a bathroom after using it, and there's a lady there, and I'm like, it stinks in there. You know what I mean? Like that's so.
You don't have to say that to them.
I know, but it just comes out usually. But
you walk out and you say the person before me was a sociopath.
Yeah.
But I think that they do a really good job with it feels like a bathroom of the future.
It does feel like a bathroom of the future.
It's very well done.
Yeah.
And the building is weird, but inside there it is cool when you're
I love the vibe
around.
in there.
Yeah.
I love the energy.
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations to the Alamo Drafthouse, 4 forks. Hopefully things maintain or improve under the new stewardship of Sony.
Yeah, I just hope Sony puts money behind it and they're serious when they say they want to keep it the Drafthouse.
Yes, for sure. Hey, that was our review of Alamo Drafthouse. It's time for a segment. We've got a food stuff. We're going to decide if you should put it in your mouth. It's Snack or Wack. And Drew, you brought us a real treat, which Emma's going to bring out now. You brought us the Tom Cruise cake.
I think that's the official name of it.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard of this. I'm sure you guys have heard of this over the years.
For sure.
Every year he has a mailing list, and if you're on the mailing list, you get this cake from Doan's Bakery in Woodland Hills.
Wow.
And it's become a hotly sort of everybody wants one. Everybody wants to be on that list. I realized I'm probably not going to end up on Tom Cruise's mailing list anytime soon. And so for Father's Day this year, Goldbelly lets you order directly from Doan's Bakery, and I had one delivered.
That rules.
I have the description from Goldbelly, just context for what this is. The famous Tom Cruise cake is a one-layer bundt cake made with coconut cake with white chocolate chunks. The round cake is slathered in white cream cheese frosting and coated with heaps of coconut flakes. Yes, Doan's Bakery in Woodland Hills, and it contains coconut cake, cream cheese frosting, toasted coconut flakes, and white chocolate chunks. Tom Cruise sends the cake to his loved ones for Christmas, including famous Hollywood celebrities and former film co-stars. They have a partial list on the site of some of these people. Angela Bassett, Henry Cavill, Kirsten Dunst, Jimmy Fallon, John Hamm, Graham Norton, Rosie O'Donnell, Courtney B. Vance, Miles Teller, Renee Zellweger.
We got to get on this
and
list.
I am not on that list. I'm almost 100% sure.
So this is what the stars feed to other stars, and we're going to eat it here on the podcast. Let me open this up.
I got the need.
Well, I realized I had it at the house, and I had to bring some.
I
you
love
guys
this.
have to try that.
No, this is awesome.
This rules.
What were you gonna say?
I got the need. The need for cake.
You're not doing the need to feed?
Yeah, the need to feed.
The need for cake is maybe better. It's maybe better.
No, it's good. I like it. Drew, how should we distro this?
Do you got a Tom Cruise?
Pop on the plates.
How about show me the cake?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we'll plop this down. All right, so it looks like this is maybe subdivided.
Okay, I just put them in there so they wouldn't get stuck together.
I can do the distribution.
Yeah, sure.
While I'm doing this, what are some of your Tom Cruise first off, where does Tom Cruise rank in your pantheon of movie stars, and what are some of your favorite performances of his?
I like Tom Cruise. I think he is a guy who makes it very easy to make fun of him. I think he has had his moments that are undeniably insane in public.
Sure.
But I also think he is truly one of our last great movie stars.
I agree with that. Wags, this is ridiculous what Wags is doing right here. I've never seen someone struggle with a piece of cake. Thank you.
And growing up, I've watched him become a movie star as I was a movie viewer. So I remember Taps in the theater, where he shows up at the end of Taps and he has 3 great scenes. And I was like, whoever that kid is, he's great. And a couple of years later, Risky Business was a big deal when it landed.
Yeah.
And that was a huge moment. So watching him develop in the 80s was kind of exciting. And I really loved the run he had with directors like Scorsese and Barry Levinson and doing stuff like Color of Money and Rain Man and Born on the 4th of July.
Right.
I think he was on fire at that point. And I think his Mission Impossible series is maybe the great movie star franchise that exists now, where it's entirely every time I want to see if Tom Cruise dies.
Yes, I am. Look, Mission Impossible Fallout is my favorite movie. I love Tom
so
Cruise.
Much fun.
I love that movie. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's one of those guys who have come to appreciate more just because it's so hard to have staying power and just to have that much presence and charisma, and then what he uses with his star power in terms of just getting movies made and in theaters.
I don't love every film of his. I think he's had runs of stuff like Lions for Lambs and Valkyrie, and where you're like, I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, The Mummy is a huge disaster. But man, when he connects with a piece of material and you get a Top Gun Maverick, it's still kind of undeniably amazing.
That's the best.
Hey, respect the cake and tame the frosting.
Very good. Little Magnolia.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Wags, you know what I have to say about this cake?
Yeah.
You complete me.
This is really good. That was good too.
Thank you. This is very good.
I tell you, this lives up to the hype.
It's really good.
It's really yummy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And the one cake, I took it to a friend's house on Sunday night for Father's Day. His whole family had it. My whole family had it. We brought it back. They had it again another night.
Yeah.
And then there was still stuff to bring. It's a big cake.
This is if you told me this is the ingredients of this cake, I'd be like,
You want to try this cake?
And then
Oh yeah, sure.
when you actually eat it, it's fantastic. Wags is gone.
He's leaving.
Yeah, white chocolate coconut would not be something that automatically I went, well, I've got to have a white chocolate coconut cake.
In fact, I wouldn't want it normally. But that is just makes sense. The guy is good. He's good.
Yeah.
He's undeniably good.
He's even good at food, damn
He's
it.
good at which it seems like Tom Cruise seems like a guy who was.
I have trouble believing he ever ate a piece of cake.
That's kind of what I wonder too.
Yeah.
I'm like Tom Cruise does not seem
was
like
it recommended to him?
Or apparently it was a thing that he started doing when he was dating Katie Holmes. And
Okay.
I think Goldbelly said who supposedly introduced him to the cake. But the there was a clip there was like a photo or a short video he released of him with like a big bowl of popcorn, like just saying like popcorn and movies, nothing better, something like that, some sort of very generic feeling caption on his social media. And our buddy Charles Ingram was like, "This man has not eaten a carb in 20 years." The idea of him sitting down with like a huge tub of popcorn and eating all this, no way that's happening. But God bless him. I love that he's a movie psycho. Casey, Emma, what do you think of that cake?
That's fantastic.
It's really
good, right?
I would eat the whole cake myself.
Yeah.
I love coconut. That's the thing.
Me
So
too.
it's like this is what a coconut cake is really.
But I don't like white chocolate usually. Did
Me
you see
neither.
There's white chocolate in there. I love that. That's great.
It tastes more like just like frosting.
Yeah.
It
I
is.
love
Yeah.
that.
we were saying
But
that when
not
you were,
heavy. Like it doesn't.
No.
I'm not a cake fan. That's the thing. I like
either.
pie. If I'm talking desserts, I'm more pie or ice cream more likely. Cake is never my first choice. This might have changed my mind a little bit. This is a good cake.
Yeah, I'm wondering am I more cake or pie? We've definitely talked about this before. The thing is, like, when I have a good cake, I'm like, fuck, I like cake, and this is one of those. You know,
I think I like cake a lot.
I might be more cake, but I do like pie. And honestly, speaking of coconut, a coconut cream pie is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
we were saying when you were gone that it's like if you listed the ingredients to me, I was like, I wouldn't be like, oh, I need to try this cake. And then
To Emma's white chocolate point, for
but,
sure.
But eating it, it's like, oh, it's so much. It's better than the well, I don't know,
Some of the parts.
Some of the parts.
Yeah,
that's what I was
heck
trying to
yeah.
say.
It all comes together. That's great. That's a definite snack for me.
Can you put that into a Tom Cruise quote, please?
Yeah. Well, you already did. You complete me.
Yeah, you're kind of.
I think we're tapped out. Are there any more?
I guess not.
I guess not. Hold on. Let me look for some quotes real quick.
I'm trying to think of any quotes from Mission Impossible, which is kind of.
It's not like a super quotable movie on the Need for Speed.
Yeah.
Kittredge, you've never seen me eat cake.
There we go.
That's really
That's
good.
pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Seen me.
That's pretty good. I'm excited for the last one of all the Mission Impossibles of like the new era was like a little further down my list. It wasn't my
Dead
favorite.
Reckoning,
Dead
yeah.
Reckoning Part 1
Still
was
had
like
great set pieces.
Some
in it.
great set
still
pieces.
so good for like it's that funny thing of like this isn't my favorite Mission Impossible and I was a little let down, but it's still like one of the better movies of the year that I saw. I still enjoyed it quite a bit.
You're rating it versus the Mission Impossible
Yeah.
franchise.
I could watch him and Haley Atwell
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
do action
She's
scenes
so great.
together for
They I feel like they shouldn't have the breaking it into two parts was a little complicated.
weird.
Yeah.
I think that was a COVID move more than anything.
Yeah.
I think all of everything right now with him is still a domino effect from COVID. Like both Mission Impossibles got screwed up by it.
I remember when we were filming Tomorrow War and one of the producers was it was Skydance. So one of the producers worked on Top Gun and I was just asking questions. And when I was going there to shoot Tomorrow War, because it was done basically.
Yeah.
And then I remember them just holding on to that movie for so long. And I thought it was so cool that they were like, we're
They were
not
smart.
going to release it. And then, of course, it fucking killed.
Well, that's the
box
other thing
office.
about Inside Out too. Whether we liked it or not, it's irrelevant because oh my God, what a weekend it had around the
It
world.
did.
Yes, yeah,
it did.
for sure.
Good. I'm happy that it made money.
I'm happy that people are going to the theaters. Disney is one of the few places I can root against, maybe,
Yeah.
but I agree. People going to the movies is a good thing. So,
I got one, Mitch.
all right,
If you can just do the response here.
sure.
So I'll say the first part, and then I think you can figure out what the second part is.
Okay, all right, let's hear it.
I want the cake.
You can't handle the snack.
Perfect.
There you go.
Yeah, snacks all around, right? It says snacks for snacks
Oh,
over the
yeah,
producer's
absolutely.
desk.
Snack.
Thanks so
Zach.
much for bringing that, Drew. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Just
that
like a
rules.
rest of value your feedback, let's open up the feedback. Today's email is from Ethan M. Ethan writes,
Ethan.
Wow.
M, not H.
M, not H, yes.
Phew.
Hello, boys of the dough and ladies, etc. Movie tie-in popcorn buckets and specialty drinks and things of the like are all the rage right now with Deadpool and, of course, the Dune ones. 2 winky emojis. All right, calm down, buddy. I was wondering if y'all had a favorite. I saw Mitch's favorite Star Wars in Biloxi, Mississippi. Shout out Carl Tart. And the theater there at the mall had a Yoda cocktail that was one of the best I've ever had. Love you guys. Kiss, kiss. I want to know what was in that Yoda cocktail.
I want to know what's in there too. So what's our favorite movie tie-ins?
Yeah, if there was a fun movie tie-in, either a snack or a drink, if there's anything we can think of. This is maybe a tough one to generate on the fly. I'm trying to think
Did
through
you
my
see
memory.
the Despicable Me 4 popcorn
I
bucket,
did
Nick?
see that. That's fun.
I thought that was a really clever one.
Yeah.
It's the Baby Bjorn
Yeah.
full of popcorn.
You're going to wear it, right? You're going to do it?
He's in a popcorn skeptic. I mean, come on.
I think that is a lot of fun. I do like that one.
And I think people will have fun dressing up with that thing on.
When I saw the Spy Family movie, the Code White, they had like a commemorative popcorn bucket. I'm like, I'll get that. And it was like the cheapest, fucking flimsiest piece of shit. I was like, this is such a bummer. This is just like the crappiest plastic bucket that just has, the logo. And I think it was just printed onto it, and it was a sticker on the outside. So it's a bummer when they do that. You like when you want them to do the Dune. You want them to do the Despicable Me 4 where they go put a little work into it.
I'll go back to say with this one, I mean, it's more, I think, tied into the cartoon show, but Ecto Cooler we like.
Ecto Cooler's a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. It was
Yeah.
green like Slimer, but it tasted nice. I'm trying to think of like specific tie-ins. I like sandwiches or like things that were like, this is the whatever sandwich, which we've talked about this before. The rodeo burger at Burger King was first, wasn't it, came out with the small soldiers?
Yes, that was a good burger that's endured.
And then it's they stuck around. They don't call it the small soldiers burger anymore or whatever, but they should.
I still
Stolen
remember,
Valor.
I still have in my house some of the old, 1970s and 1980s Burger King glasses, like the glasses.
True,
where
that
they
was the
were
exact thing I was going to say.
£8
Yeah.
each,
Mm-hmm.
and they were painted in lead on the outside.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I've got things that are going to go terribly wrong later because of them, but those glasses were great, man. I loved that kind of collectible stuff when we were kids, and it felt like they went more all out. That's one thing that's changed. Even with marketing now, I don't feel like you get the blitz that we used to get.
Yeah.
Where it's everywhere, where suddenly there's,
Agreed.
Phantom Menace. You bring up Phantom Menace. That summer, you could not pick up a product or go to a restaurant or go anywhere without a Phantom Menace something.
And you know what? I loved it. It made it really feel like an event. And of course, there's
there was just on that note specifically. I feel like there was like a Jar Jar Pez dispenser or something. Do you remember that?
yeah.
That had
Oh,
a tongue in it. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, there was the episode 1. I feel like
That might have been the pinnacle of it's everywhere.
Right.
it was every Pepsi machine, right? Like
Yep.
it was
Pepsi,
yeah.
PepsiCo. So all the restaurants, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, all that, they had all the time. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific menu, movie tie-in that you remember?
Well, here's the thing.
That was a big one, and then I just want to give a shout out to the Casper at Casper the Friendly Ghost movie, the Casper movie at Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut did weird puppets. There was a Casper puppet.
Oh yeah.
I had one of those, and then there was another one. I've talked about it before on the podcast, but they did weird, I think, stuff that you could put on top of your drink. You know what I mean? Like a cover for your drink. But Nick, but I just asked you that question.
Oh no, I was gonna just say, and this is a pretty obvious one, but the Hobbit menu at Denny's was so fun.
It was that ruled.
And it was they only did it for the first 2 movies.
Yep.
I'm really bummed they didn't do it for Battle of the Five Armies. But it's really the theming was so great, and also just hobbits love to eat big breakfast.
That's
So
the
it was
thing.
perfect.
It's really smart.
Yeah.
Anytime you can have an experience that kind of expands the movie a little bit, I'll bring this all back to Alamo Drafthouse. When we did a Button-Umathon one year, it was the last year I was with that site, and it was the year that we showed an early screening of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Wow.
And so that movie played, and in the middle of the movie, without announcing anything, they came out and in front of everybody put a shot of vodka and a spoonful of caviar. Because there's that whole sequence in the film where Tilda Swinton teaches him how to drink vodka and eat caviar. So we got to that scene, and they told you, do the shot when she tells you, do the caviar when she tells you. And for anybody who's never had that experience, you've never had that sense memory of that weird buttery taste and then the vodka and the way it distilled. Now, all of a sudden, anytime you watch that movie, I get the sense memory of that exact taste and moment. And that's a great thing if you can do that in a movie theater.
Cool.
Like, really do something where people then have that memory tied to it forever.
That's awesome.
That rules. That's fantastic.
Also, we should shout out past Patreon guest Matt Singer, who is kind of the archivist of all of these.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Matt's the king of this.
I
look forward to
one
every horrible tie-in he has to eat.
I forget the last one he was eating. It might have been a Despicable Me Pink Berry or something like that. Oh, it was the If menu, yeah.
The If menu sounded nauseating. I loved every word he wrote.
I looked at Reddit, not our Reddit, but a Reddit for this.
Okay.
And they talk about episode 1 was the soda cup toppers from Taco Bell, which I'm like, okay, yeah. They were all the Pepsi cans. But one that they brought up that I forgot about was the Simpsons movie. They turned 7-Elevens into And
oh my God, that was so awesome.
And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, because one of
they
the ones
did like the pink donuts and stuff like that. That was great.
There were some full transformations to Quickie Marts, and one of the ones on Sepulveda was one of the flagship ones for that. And that was a really cool sort of installation I remember waiting in line for.
Yeah.
And they were out of, what did they run out of immediately? Was it Buzz Soda? I can't remember.
I think, yes. Like, they all just got mobbed.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like when Fat Sal's did the McDougal's from Coming to America.
Yeah.
That was great.
We went to that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
With our buddy Dave Schilling.
Yeah.
I should also just note, while we're talking movie tie-ins and fast food restaurants, I've told this story before, but Taco Bell had a tie-in for the movie Congo, the Michael Craig movie. And I was so hyped for that movie.
I'm sorry.
I know, this is the thing.
I know this story.
I had the Congo watch I was wearing. It was the Congo watch from Taco Bell. And I go to see Congo, and I'm like, this movie's it's the Jurassic Park guy, and it's got Bruce Campbell and Ernie Hudson. This is going to be a fucking home run. I'm so excited. And I saw the movie, and I hated it. It was so bad. It's the first time I remember just being crushed by a film.
Angry.
It's
a terrible movie.
Horrible movie. Yeah. The bad talking ape, the guy in the ape suit. And then I went outside and I was waiting for my dad to pick me up, and I sat in gum. And
that is a day.
It's still the worst day of my life.
Yeah. That'll just live with you.
Yeah.
Didn't the movie Happiness have like a tie-in with Hood Milk?
Jesus Christ. If you have a question or comment about the world of chain restaurants, you can email us at feedback@birdfuck.com or leave us a voicemail at 830-GO-DOUGH. That's 830-463-6844. And to get the Doughboys Double, our weekly bonus episode, plus our entire pre-2018 back catalog.
Sorry, I'm a disgusting monster.
/Doughboys. Our producer is Emma Erdbrink. Our associate producer is Amelia Marino. Our engineer is Casey Donahue, and our video editor is Mike Dorfman. Our guest, Drew McWeeny. Drew, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, guys. This was
fun.
awesome. This was exactly what I hoped it would be. I had so much fun doing it.
What a
Thank
treat.
you.
People should check out your newsletters, Formerly Dangerous, the Last 80s newsletter.
DrewMcWeeny.substack.com or the Last 80s newsletter.substack.com.
Awesome.
I'm signed up for that newsletter. It's great. People should check it out.
Thank you, man.
Check it out. And hey, that'll do it for this episode of Doughboys. Until next time, for the Spoon Man, Mike Mitchell, I'm Nick Weiger. Happy eating.
See ya.
Hey, buddy, want Doughboys merch? We're talking hats, shirts, sweatshirts, patches, glasses, all sorts of stuff. Aprons. It's all available at kinshipgoods.com/doughboys. That's kinshipgoods.com/doughboys. Sources for the intro are in the episode description.
That was a Headgum podcast.